when we're already going long, it gets skippy by the end.
It says that, but it just says setting up, which is it? This is the first time I've done it on this.
I can tell you, I think all the time.
Well, you lucked out that Roger had the Board of Assessors meeting.
We can do it.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see. It's a, oh, here we go.
You want a pen? I gave you my
No, no, no,
cat
no,
pen.
we're on special.
Here's my Grinch pen.
We're not all hosting.
Oh, that isn't the host.
No,
This is.
now we
Oh,
have,
okay.
what I would normally do is then just, she would make me co-host on this one, but we don't have to do that because I've got.
This you'd say, don't go.
Oh, hi, my.
I just signed it.
Well, I think technically we can do this, we should.
Should be an option for like remove
This
note
is the,
video.
the constant, the would versus could.
Yes.
It's not a debate. If you use the wrong one, you get in trouble.
Yes. To be polite.
Well, I could do this, but I'm choosing not to.
And you are.
Yeah. They could be kind to you.
It is lecture.
But I do.
It is lecture. Thank you. All right, you're going.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. We're coming back to open session for our meeting. I'm gonna just quickly jump to the consent items really quick, and then we will do the Council on Aging presentation about some conversation about their budget. The consent item tonight, we have 2 items on the consent item because the minutes aren't ready. So we have one, a special event application submitted by the Rec Committee to host an egg hunt on March 28th at South Common, and a special event application submitted by Chip Durant and the Board of Trade for the Berlin Recreation Committee to host the annual fishing derby on April 18th at South Commons. Are there conversations? Chip, since you're here, do you want to give a sort of a promotional pitch for it? Make sure you're at least within range of the microphone so that people at home and the recordings can hear you.
And Brittany won't yell at us.
Okay. Yeah, the 68th annual Lester Roth Fishing Derby, as most of you have known, we've had it for years, obviously. We're continuing that. We're doing some heavy fundraising because fish has gone up in price. Everything has gone up, of course. But we're going to be looking for your support and help at helping us. We need to get the pond dredged at some point and aerated because it's not supporting the fish life that we're spending the money to put in there. So we'll be looking for that in the near future. But we're looking to have a good year this year, hopefully, and put it all together and then work towards improving the pond to support better fish life.
Yeah. And then what time does it start?
It'll start at 7 a.m. and go till 11, and then we'll do prizes after 11 and whatnot. So anybody wants to make donations, you can do it at the store, in a little box, or at the Clinton Savings Bank in the center of town there. They'll take donations for the Berlin Fishing Derby. So we got to,
Cost-ish
we have to raise $8,000
for the fish.
for fish, prizes, snacks and water and stuff that the kids get and everything. And yeah, it's not a cheap endeavor anymore like it used to be. I mean, used to get a lot more donations and stuff, and that's gone by the wayside. And Cabela's used to support us more, and now that it's more corporate, you have to apply in September and you get a $50 gift card, not getting all the stuff they used to donate back in the day. So the managers had discretion to give us stuff toward the fishing derby, but now there's a whole process, and we're not a 501c3, so they don't want to even want to entertain anything. So they don't want to write off. So
Do you have a cost-ish to aerate the pond?
I
Yeah.
don't. I'm working on, we need to get power down there to have a constant source to power it up. So that's something I'm going to put a plan and a proposal together with Park and Rec to put power back down there. That'll help us get power for aerating the pond and lighting it for them. They want to be able to skate in the winter and be able to see what they're doing. And then the dredging stuff, I'm trying to work with the state agencies, see if they will do it at minimal cost. Or if they will help us with the permitting process to work on it. I mean, it was built originally as a fire protection pond for the entire center of town. If the lumberyard goes up, that's the water source you want, but that source is depleted with the silting in. So I'll be talking to Chief McQuillan about helping us back us on that to get permitting to get the fire pond put back together and improve it for the aquatic life. So
Great. Was there a motion and second for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're perfect. Thank you.
All right. Hopefully see you down there.
Felicia, did you want to open it to Felicia for anything? I mean, she came, I think, just for,
I invited,
oh, something else. Okay,
yes, the
Funny.
opera discussion.
all right.
Okay, we'll jump to that. So Council on Aging, there are 3 chairs. We want to figure out who comes up first or.
Just one.
Okay,
Just 2 of us.
you can rotate through if necessary. The COA budget's one of 3 lines that we've not sort of formally voted on yet. I think we wanted some more details and add some questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to start with some of the stuff that we've seen in our folder, but to put it
Sure.
on the record, and then we'll go into questions.
Of course. Nice to meet you. I'm Linda Robinson. So I think we were just wanting to have the opportunity to be able to talk about the possibility of some increased hours for next year for the director position. Where Melissa has certainly been able to accomplish a great deal.
Sorry, they're highly directional mics, and so they have to be actually directly in front of you as I angle mine as well.
I'm sorry.
Yep, that's fine.
Our hope is that maybe with further explanation, there can be some understanding of why we think this way. I wanted to just go over a little bit of the history. I know you guys know the history, so it's not that I'm telling you anything new, but I think from a reasoning point of view, the history around the last director, who I think was maybe 19 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I was only here a couple months of her tenure, but she was an LICSW, as I understand, an expensive way to go with this position, I think. But also because of that, I believe her focus really was on doing community service type of stuff. So people that needed referral for help in the community, that sort of thing, she was very good at, and that was obviously her profession. But unfortunately, that was what she did in the position. And as you can see, as we go further, sort of our goal as a COA board is really much greater than just that part of the job. That's just one part of the job as we see it. And so really the balance of that responsibility wasn't really reached until Melissa joined us and now has been trying to do the whole breadth of the job, which we think is very important, that it sort of go that way. Just a soft reminder that seniors in this town are 35% of the population or around there. And so we feel, it's important that their needs be addressed as well as I know the myriad of other things that you guys have on your plate. Although the director does not report to us, but we are more an advisory board, I think it's important that our goals for how this program could operate or should operate be shared. And first, we feel obviously developing programming for the older adults is an important part of the job. And it's not just because we want the seniors in town to have fun, but from an older population, one of the biggest dangers for seniors is really in isolation. And so to be able to offer opportunities for the seniors to get out, have things to do, form a community, all of that is very important for their mental health as well as their physical health. And I think it also gives the director opportunity to get to know as many seniors in town as possible, which is important. And we can talk about that further, to facilitate relationships with the older adults, to try and also identify needs that they may not identify. So with the previous director, you know, if people called and said, I don't have enough food, or I'm, you know, feeling very depressed or whatever, she was very capable at trying to address those issues, and refer people to the appropriate place. But if people weren't brave enough to call, or were too depressed to call, or all of the things can influence senior behavior, the director may not know about them at all. And that's one of the challenges that we're dealing with, I think, going forward. And Melissa can obviously speak to this more, is that there really needs to be, beyond the phone calls and dealing with referring people, more of an outreach so that we can identify people that when they don't necessarily identify themselves. Again, Melissa can speak to that. Providing the social service solutions, even for people who call, is important. Collaborating with other groups in Berlin. You know, we are small. We have limits to what we can do as a COA, important functions, but still limits. And there are other groups in town that offer other things. And so the ability to really collaborate, for the director to really collaborate with those other people, with the food pantry, for example, things like that. Again, being able to identify possibly some people who may have food insecurity, but often that will mean they have other issues as well that that could help the director identify. And then scheduling and dispatching the van, I think, is an important role now in this position. Down the road, it won't be. I think someone else could do it. But again, I think it offers a very good opportunity for the director to be able to reach out and meet people, talk to seniors, get to know them, and hopefully identify other things that they may be challenged by. And then the additional duties that fall into this, as far as we see as well, is grant writing to help augment our budget, managing the medical equipment lending closet, Powder House News, management of My Senior Center software. So apparently, previous to Melissa, the My Senior Center software had been just let go and it wasn't being utilized. Unfortunately, that meant that we had no listings of the seniors in town, but also no way to give you data to support what we're saying. You know, the software at least allows us to be able to track the progress that we've been making over the time that Melissa's been trying to do these things. So managing social media for the COA has also helped. One of the challenges that we've had is getting word out to the seniors wherever we may try. Melissa's tried a million different approaches. They will say, oh, I didn't know about that. So to try and spread that word in as many different directions as possible is really important. Just approved hours, again, not anything that's a surprise to you, but I have to say it out loud. You know, Melissa started at 24, went up to 28 after a number of months. But never could get to the 36 hours that was approved by town meeting for this position. And so, you know, we're hoping that now that there has been some strong evidence that with a lot of work, we can start to make progress, that being able to get those additional hours for the next fiscal year can help, unfortunately, the new person be able to really continue the work that Melissa's done, but expand that social community outreach and that sort of thing. I did talk to the director in Bolton. I picked Bolton because they're at least kind of small, like us, not as small as us. They have two 30-hour, a director and assistant director at 30 hours. That's obviously, it didn't happen in the first couple of years that they started this program. And the director there I asked her specifically, how long do you think, would you estimate it took you to really start to get some traction on the program? You know, you don't walk in the door and it happens. And she said realistically about 2 years. So I think, that doesn't surprise me because I've been in geriatrics for 1,000 years, but I think to share with everybody else some understanding of this population and how tough it is to really make inroads. Programming has consistently been developed over Melissa's tenure. If you had attachment A, and Lori had just done just as a visual, all of the things that Melissa has done to try and pull in as many of the seniors as we possibly can. And then there's also, you will see the data that Melissa provided in attachment B. She, has slowly been developing programming and interaction with the seniors. So 857 attendees, 128 unduplicated. And most popular is fitness, exercise, veterans breakfast, and some social events as well. And then the van, excuse me, we've had the van up and running since, I think, the beginning of December. Few snowstorms in there, but we have provided, I think 57 or 58 rides in the first, I don't really count December because it's really just, we announced it, but sent it until the end of February. So that was 39 medical appointments, which may not have been gotten to in that time frame. And, I think the important thing to understand is with seniors is they don't really develop trust until you show them consistency. And that's been studied extensively in trying to approach seniors. So we had, as a period of time where there was no van, the van was inconsistent, and then there was no van. They're not going to trust us right away. So the fact that we were able to provide 57 rides, whether they be for medical appointments or whether they be for, to get groceries, that sort of thing, I feel is very good. I think we really made some inroads in starting to develop that trust. I think the other thing that we pulled just to show the need is that in 2025, Berlin seniors joined Neshoba Neighbors, 21 of them, and in 2026, 35 of them. This required a paid membership for most of them of $175 a year. That's almost a month's groceries for some of these seniors. So that's not a negligible amount for many of these people on a fixed income. So I think, that's something to be considered in looking at sort of the function of the van, and if we can get it to a point where they're trusting us and people can use it regularly. I'm not suggesting if 2 years from now, we're still doing, 39 rides or something, but I think it just needs to get more, have a little more time to get some traction. Just a lack of transportation is the primary reason for seniors not accessing healthcare, resulting in 2 to 3 times higher rates of missed appointments, worse chronic conditions, and increased ER visits. So you see a lot of insurance companies now for senior plans provide transportation. Unfortunately, not enough of them, but that's the reason, is that it's proven that it has such a devastating impact on seniors' healthcare being consistent. And so I think that, is a good argument for us to at least try to have a consistent and free mode of transportation for the seniors in the town. And I think that's all I have. Well, that.
I just wanted to give them the chance. That was a lot of information. Is there questions
Good.
before I?
I looked at, hi.
Hi.
First of all, hi. I looked through your, all your information, and one thing just like stuck out to me. You said that there was a promise of 40 hours Who made you that promise?
No, there wasn't a promise. It was appropriated in the budget is what they're saying.
Yeah, and I
So
think it was 36. Was
when,
it
when,
36?
no, when I started, it was 24 with the intent is what I was told. To increase hours, and that would be by going to personnel and asking for the hours. So when I started, I knew it was 24.
Okay.
I guess the confusion for most of us is just if it's appropriated, why do we get stuck in this not getting the hours? And
It was
it's
based on
appropriated.
numbers.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
In some respects, as you point out, the previous council on aging staff person
It was only
had an
19.
LCIW. So although it was in some respects in the COA budget, that person did spend a chunk of time with the police doing other sort of social work type things for the town. I think we started going that direction with ARPA funds.
Yes.
Is what got it going. And that when there was the change in personnel, although it was in the budget, the belief was the person we're hiring, we didn't require an LICSW.
Mhm.
Because as you pointed, that's not typical for that position.
Right.
Right, yeah.
And so that there would not be the ride-alongs with the police and helping de-escalate other things in town as part of the job anymore. And so that's how the hours got reduced.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making the argument potentially that it should be gone back up, and I think the original budget proposal at least was for a 36, for the fiscal year 27 budget was
Yes.
for 36, designed for this position to be 36.
Yeah.
That's sort of how we got, my understanding of how we got to where we were, where it was full-time got cut.
Yeah, it just in
Yep.
26, I did the budget as well.
Yeah.
And it was appropriated for 36. So it's just, we're trying to keep it, I guess, in my opinion, as the director, 28 hours, although some of it is admin, that takes the time of me.
Mhm.
It certainly could be split off to an admin to let the director focus on more of the outreach. And that's to me what's lacking in only 28 hours, is not having the time to get those people that need help, that don't really know how to ask for help, and meeting in other places and going to the communities and having more coffee hours or more, I guess, office hours in different locations. That's my thought as to what the additional hours would go towards. In my 5 year, I don't know if you guys got, we had to do a 5-year plan. I'm sure that it was submitted to you guys in the budget. I don't know. I was actually in my 5-year plan looking to bring in an administrative person for 10 hours a week in fiscal year 28. So I was going to try to do this in the 28 hours with the hopes that I could talk to personnel and get more hours increased through that. And then bring on an administrative person that could tackle the data entry stuff that takes me the time. None of it is hour-long projects.
Mhm.
It's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, constant interruptions of people coming in, phone calls. But if you could give it to one person and have them just do it, it would take time off of
Mhm.
the director to be able to do that. So I think all encompassing everything that in this position is needed. I do feel like 28 hours is tough to get everything done. Your goals and everything that my goals were, is for the outreach and making sure that we're having fun stuff. It's not all about fun, but it does fight isolation. It does get them to know their neighbors. Maybe they wouldn't go on the van, but now so-and-so's going on the van. They wouldn't normally go to an event at Northbrook 1 because they live in 2. They get to know people, and it brings them out a little bit more. And that's, I think, the part that we're missing, is not being able to get out and do on-foot marketing. I have said for months now that I want to go door to door and hang flyers on their door, and you just don't have time. Should that be under the director's hourly? Probably not an admin, probably a volunteer, but at this point, we don't have that. And so other things are falling through the cracks by trying to create all those other, I guess, ideas and intentions that we're trying to do. That was my thought when I kept the budget, creating the budget for
Yeah.
the 36 hours.
You have a question?
Just in general, Melissa, what would you say should be the top priorities? Like if you were gonna rank the things that you do in your job,
Mhm.
how would you rank?
I think outreach is number one. I think getting out into the community, building the trust with the residents, knowing that they have somewhere to go, giving them the information on what we do and what we're here for. we have our resources and services. I'm not sure that everybody knows, what they can get from the COA. And I think that's having more, when I first started, we did something at 19 Carter, and it was a meet the director and what we're doing. And if you could have those in multiple locations, so people know, even at the housing developments, the 55+ communities, if you could give that to them, they would have a better understanding. And I think that's, to me, priority is the outreach portion. Shortly behind that, though, it is, fitness classes and the fun stuff. Providing meals I'd like to get that up and running too more, but it is a smaller community and it is supposed to be for homebound. But that is also, in case people don't know, that is also treated as a wellness check. So if you're somebody that has a family member that's in the town and you're like, well, I can't get there and I can't lay eyes on them, that's what the Meals on Wheels can do. Somebody has to give them the meal in person. You can't leave it on the doorstep. You can't leave it in a cooler. You have to lay eyes on them. And they get to know them, where if there's a problem, like Linda was saying earlier, it gives you that personal relationship where they can say, hey, Melissa looked off today. You might want to, give her a call. And then you call, their emergency contact and say, hey, just a heads up, because anybody can tell you on the phone that they're doing okay, or put that fluff in there on the phone saying that, yeah, I'm good. Or they don't want to tell their family members that they're not doing good, but they'll tell us more. So I think that is an additional important thing too, is the food and the nutrition. I mean, I was shocked, honestly, when I talked to Mary for the food pantry, and it took me this long to get that information through building the relationship with her, that of the 50 households that the food pantry provides to, 35 of them were seniors. We had no idea. So if I'm helping them, it becomes another question of, you have food insecurity, like, all your bills caught up? Like, are you feeling okay? Are you behind on anything? Do you need something else? And they may tell you, and they may not. But knowing that they have a place to open up to opens up other avenues for additional help that they may need. And they may not. It just depends on the person, being open. And it's a tough population for wanting help and admitting that they want help, It's a pride thing. The times that they grew up, they did it, they handled it on their own, and now they're asking for help and they don't want to. So I think it's just having the ability to have those conversations and have the personality to let them trust you, I guess, and build that trust with them. So I think, yes, first is the resources and the services, and then the fun stuff and, the food, and which could fall under resources and services for food insecurity, but yeah.
I mean, for me, there's two questions at play. I think I am more easily convinced that it's worthy of a 36-hour-a-week position than I am convinced about the van. I mean, for me, the consistency of the van is that it's inconsistent. In 5 years, we have not managed to put together a consistent running plan for the van. And I don't see how that ever changes.
Can you answer this for me, Scott? I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I mean, I'm new at this, so, I don't know what's been tried or what the history is. But what would you say, in looking at, okay, in the 2.5 months we've been back up and running, we've given 57 rides or something. What would you say would be an amount that would make you feel like, okay, this seems to be catching on?
So I attempted in last year's budget, and the change at town meeting was that we didn't try to do a van, but instead we put $20,000 in expenses so you could partner with some rideshare companies to make it so that the Council on Aging director is not spending a majority of their time trying to schedule, hire, keep the van running. I mean, I think that is a drain on the time that's not providing as much bang.
The problem is, though, I'm not saying an alternative is bad, but rideshare companies are often not accepted by many seniors. There are certainly some that will call an Uber at any time of day or night, but it's often not a population that is terribly comfortable with utilizing that kind of a resource. So I think we'd have to look at what else is there.
Right, and I think the intent in the budget was to put 20,000 in the expense line to say that is an option, but you have $20,000 in a year to experiment, try with
Right.
different things. And it could be, it ultimately is a layered approach, that a rideshare company helps for a subset. I know that for people who have, I believe that people who have serious mobility issues, that rideshares can be a problem, and that there are rideshare companies that are known to I don't want to make any, are known not to be most helpful for people who might have some mobility related issues.
Correct.
And I didn't necessarily have an answer for that, but I thought that let's have something, let's see if we can find a layered approach that makes the problem small, help some people figure out rideshares through their insurance company, because some of them have that.
Mhm.
Some of them we might be able to do with rideshare companies, and I don't know what we try to do with some of the others. But I have seen since we've had the van that between mechanical problems with the van and storage locations of the van and just keeping drivers, the amount of time it takes to hire is a distraction from other things as well.
Mhm.
And that you're right, I don't have the answer. And I don't necessarily want to fully give up on the van.
Right.
I think the select board could have and didn't, could have made it harder to try to hire. That's okay. That's what the town want to try again. But it took, 5 months to hire. It's taken some time to go up. The van still has some mechanical issues here and there. Hopefully they're all behind us at this point, but
Right.
it just seems to be a distraction from the outreach and the other things that for when you do social events, call up a bus company and say, hey, we have 25 people. Can you get us a bus that takes us to Foxwoods, which I know is
Right.
not something you do, but I mean, like when you have an event
Yeah.
that's a transportation where it's not trying to figure that out, because I don't know the answer. The answer to a driver that doesn't know how many, I don't know if I'm working 5 hours this week or 20 hours this week. I can see how that's not an attractive job for a lot of folks.
Right.
I think we experimented, I thought we suggested, well, actually, I think it was your sort of expected, is that how do you make it so that the drivers promised 10 hours a week, and if they're not doing drives, they're doing some of that admin stuff, so that they're guaranteed 10 hours, and you might get 1 hour of admin, and you might get 9 hours of admin based on the number of rides, but at least it covers that. We need a little bit of admin, and we need to promise this person some hours, and it might take a slightly different skill set of someone who can just drive, but someone who can actually do some administrative stuff.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep. I just, for me,
And
the
how
van is just.
are
this-
you thinking, are you thinking that we would address that for this budget year? So we
Do we
would
have time to make changes to?
Yeah, as in 2 months, this
So-
will.
Right.
My thought is going on the van, right? And so in my budget, with the hopes we were trying to get it up and really running, I did budget for 2 drivers still, right? I am in no way, shape, or form looking to waste anybody's money in Berlin, which is why I applied for a grant for it. Not knowing last budget what we were kind of dealing with. If we, now I am asking about changes, if we consider like dropping that second van driver position, is that something that would be proposed or discussed further, or is that not, is it too late to even?
I think the purpose of this meeting
Yeah.
is to see if we can find numbers that we can agree on.
Okay.
It is one of the reasons I think why it is one of 3 items we've not yet voted on,
Mhm.
is to
Mhm.
really try to figure out a better solution, that, or just a solution that we can feel we can comfortably, with select board feels comfortable recommending to FinCom, that they might feel comfortably passing, and
Sure.
recommending to the town meeting.
I think, to Melissa's point, we're not looking to waste anybody's money either.
Mhm.
We know it's very valuable right now. But I think if we could maybe, think in terms of something like Melissa suggested, just to give us the opportunity to see if this takes hold. With the understanding that we need to be looking at that the whole way. If it doesn't seem to be taking hold, then what are some alternatives that we could then bring forward? And I don't know if that's too complicated to do in the budget, I don't know. But I think, we were sort of excited to finally get it up and running and see that in 2 months we did 59 or 57 trips. was very satisfying because those.
We felt good about it.
We
but-
felt good about it. And, you know, where were those people getting those trips 3 months ago? And so to give it a chance, I think would be something I would ask, but, you know, again,
I mean, so that was my question to you when we talked about this a year ago, and I was rather kindly adamant about it. If I'm van driver Peg,
Mhm.
AKA Peg's Party Bus, and I have 19 hours a week, which is what you wanted,
Mhm.
and I don't have any riders that week,
Mhm.
what am I doing? What has that person done?
She doesn't get paid.
So I only get paid if Scott calls and says, I want to ride.
48 hours, I let her know the schedule for
And you-
48
you've
hours.
got somebody who would agree to that, right?
Yeah.
That's the current.
We do.
individual
Right now we
agreeing to-
have, right now we have a driver that is able to do that. Yeah, it's not
probably a bit of a unicorn.
a bit, she's recently retired, not to give too much of her information, but wanted to help a community and doesn't rely on the 19-hour paycheck or the 30-hour paycheck any longer. So we have been lucky that we have that. I am under no false pretense that we lucked out in this, but in my thought, if we keep the hours for one van driver and we're not reaching that, but we need a backup driver, it's still only going to the same
Mhm.
bucket. So we don't really, I don't think, need 2 full-time at this point. My question is, I guess for future them, suppose that things do get an uptick, either, we prove the data for additional hours and we're not getting it. Same approach, you just have to come with data and asking for the increase in a budget in the next year or
And it
later.
can be, I mean, there
I
are
don't know if
reserve
it'll-
funds. And so if, you know, I don't know the magic number, but you're right. If there were, let's say, 500 rides a week, which, you know, we would be.
We'd all have to
Right,
drive.
We'd be driving and we'd probably be supporting a transfer from reserves to cover the rest of a year and have this stuff. And obviously there's a number between, you know, 1 person a week and 500 people a week that starts getting grayer, and we
Mhm.
probably have our own, all 3 of us have probably a different threshold where that meets. And so there's a revised budget that's down somewhat.
So
How
the
many?
way, so I put the bus driver at 20,000.
And is that's
and
for
it-
the single?
Yeah,
Yeah, it would
Yeah,
be
I'm just
for
trying to-
one,
Yep.
right.
one driver. Yeah, approximately, because I think
Yeah,
we didn't
so-
have exact
Yep.
hourly rates, but about that, so
it's
that
at
would save,
35,600, it's recommended at 20.
Right.
yeah.
And then the recommended then reduction in COA wages full-time, that's for how many hours?
Well, that is the amount for the 28 hours.
So
you know,
we would
in round
have to,
numbers.
we'd have
So-
to raise that number
Well,
to
I
one
mean-
more than 28.
Right, if the board
Yeah.
wants X hours, then
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, I just,
I mean,
I was wondering the
you're here
numbers in
for
front of us, what that
discussion, right.
represented.
Yeah, this was just a recommendation after our meeting last week that Jeff had given to us. I'm staying firm belief that this position for the director,
Right,
but I can certainly see the
Yep,
van.
yep.
I can see reducing that.
Do you feel that it is more important to have that director position full-time or to add a small admin position? Which would,
Can I say?
Yeah, if you, I'm stuck with it, so.
I would rather see the director position hours go up at this point, only because I feel like we're really still in the development stage of this position. And I think letting that person have the hours that they need to really continue to develop in all of these areas that have been identified as important. Although the admin time takes away from it a little bit, I think the things that this person's going to need to also know how to do should be part of their development as they come into the position. And then next year we can talk about how we read, maybe we need a 10-hour admin, then we keep the 36 hours or whatever. But that would be my vote. And I'm only speaking for
Yep.
myself.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, yes, certainly the admin, and I understand it would be a lower hourly rate and you're using a department head salary or hourly wage to do those tasks. But I do think to continue and keep the momentum going, I do think that hours probably for the director are more important at this time. And I did have in fiscal 28, the plan to bring in an admin. So I don't really know where that threshold is. Like you said, it's a tough numbers wise. I don't have an admin. I haven't kept track of every, hour that I've been doing it. It's just kind of like, oh, these need to go in my center. These need to get scanned over to mock. These need to do. So it's just kind of a rolling to-do list. It's not something that happens every Monday at 5 o'clock or, so it's hard to kind of track the admin things, I believe. I don't know if we'd have enough for a 10-hour position right now in admin, to be honest. So, I think that the hours itself, again, is the outreach is the important part. So.
I think if I had my magic wand, which I rarely have. No, that's a different magic wand. That's like, we're done talking.
the
magic
bad
wand.
one.
That's the different- I would do I would like to try to go down the path we've gone with some other departments and not have a separate line for full-time wages and part-time wages. Have a line for council on aging wages, and in some respects, let the council on aging have some flexibility about how much is full-time and how much is part-time and what that part-time is. I think that allows both the status quo to continue, if you would like, but allows some flexibility and some experimentation during the year. I think if, again, I had my magic wand, I would try to find a number that's between the 103,000 of the original budget and the 68 of the sort of current proposed, because I think there could be more hours there. I don't have one, although about the halfway point is about 85,000 or so. And so that does give some increase over what you have been spending. And it might force, you folks on the Council of Aging who are watching this, do we want an admin person versus a driver? Do we want, 40 hours a week COA or an admin person? And I agree. I don't think there's a right answer. I think some will be a little bit of experimentation. I also, for that same corollary, don't believe there's a 100% wrong answer. I think if you hired 8 drivers and no director, that would be a problem. But I can't imagine that's a direction you guys would want to go in the first place anyway. So, yeah, but you might have to come up to a microphone to ask it so people at home could hear you. So, yep, quick. Yep.
Show neighbors, so
Mhm.
if you have questions about that, I can answer.
Yeah.
Under that scene.
Right.
That you just described, who would have the authority to decide how to divide that wages line out?
I think at the end of the day, the authority still rests with the town administrator. But I think the recommendation of the COA would weigh pretty heavily on that. I think the town administrator, because again, staff generally report through to the town administrator. I think it's just the rails to, again, make sure you're not trying to hire 8 part-time drivers. I mean, you folks are the closest to the issue. You want the problems solved. I think you have decent identification of the direction you generally want to go. So I think put it all in a 40-hour-a-week director who also might drive every now and then, again, I think it lets you some experiment. I would expect potentially in the future years, we still might be one line item, but you might have more clarity about the direction you want to go or what changes you might want to make.
Right.
Because I think because of some changing in staff, you will have a more opportunity to try something than you might in other years.
So,
Talk to John, go ahead.
question on math, because we all know how fun PEG math is. Duplicated and unduplicated.
So unduplicated is per person. Duplicated is if that person has gone to multiple events.
So then I'm just trying to look at the numbers, because I know everyone banters about the over 30%, and sometimes, you know what, that number just gets old because it doesn't really mean anything. When you have like duplicated, and I'm just gonna like randomly pick, not the fitness ones, because you're paying somebody to come in, but if you, oh, let's do social event and activity. You have 73 duplicated and 56 unduplicated, so that means 73 times somebody went to the pizza party and the ice cream social.
Correct.
It means,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
56 people
Yep.
have attended or checked into 73 of those items. So it's basically the same 56 people that
Yeah.
have gone to 2 or sometimes 3 events or whatnot.
So it's a really low turnout. I mean, if you have 1,223 seniors and you only have 56 people really going to those social activities, it's a pretty low percentage. And I guess that's been my conundrum all along, is that you have a lot of programs, but you don't have the participation. So for me, it's hard to sit here and say, here's $100 bazillion, when I know you'd love 100 bazillion.
100%, we'd be all set, everybody in town.
You get 5 bazillion. That it's just difficult to me looking at it quantitatively
Mhm.
of, you want this much money, you have these many programs, but you have this much participation. And I guess I'm not fully convinced that simply adding hours is going to get this number of participation up.
Okay.
I think though part of the argument, believe it or not, is that part of what's being left out, or as Melissa referenced, that there isn't enough time to just get out to people and spend time out in the community. And I think that, at least this is our theory,
Mhm.
could increase that attendance at various things. Again, this is our theory.
Yeah. 'Cause-
And I think it's difficult to say, because going off of that, I have hit every print form and I am on social media. So those that say they only want it on paper, and those that say they only do social media or emails or whatever, I feel like we've covered everything. In those aspects. So in my head, was a more face-to-face, inviting them down, having the conversation, saying this is what's going on, may increase, or if they know more about the Council on Aging and then they say, oh, let's go to
Yeah. 'Cause
something.
Because I know when COVID hit and there was an outreach, and I was part of doing the outreach, even though I was one of the old folks, I could have called myself.
I got the call as well.
But but from that, there has never been I have never been reached out to as a senior to say, how are you? How you feeling? What you doing? You know, I still work, so I can't do
Mhm.
day events, but there's no outreach, or I'm not seeing it, or I'm on someone's naughty list and I'm not being reached out to. So if I'm not being reached out to, who else in town that's a senior is not being reached out to with a simple phone call? I mean, there was a list, and I just went down the list and talked to many people and found a few folks that I was related to, you know?
Hello. I'm Kate Bliss.
I know. Hello,
Hi.
Kate Bliss.
So I also, being on the board at that time, made calls, and just to speak to the point of, it takes time. And when I was making those calls, I'd be on the phone for an hour with that person, and they told me about the books they had been reading and this and then that, and they didn't want a mask, or they didn't need help with groceries or whatever. But you'd spend an hour on the phone with them. So I think that just goes to the point of, with the limited number of hours, she can't spend 28 hours a week
Right.
just calling people.
But this was all volunteers. I mean, I was a volunteer. I wasn't part of COA. I put my hand up and said, give them to me and I will call. So that was just my giving back to the community. So I would think, or would hope, that there would be enough people in town who would do that, but I've never seen that program, that type of outreach, come back again. No.
When I started, that wasn't even going on. a year and a half ago. So I don't know what
I
happened
don't
to
know
it, if it
where
was
it
just a
fell.
I think it was
COVID, but it
specific to
fell
COVID.
somewhere. Because that wasn't, I would love it. Again, going back to the days of calling and emails and whatnot, is I had 42 different lists, all with the same people with the same information that I gave to a senior tax workoff person to be like, put these in the system so we have it in one place. Possibly that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very important thing. It does. It goes with the wellness checks and the family and friends saying, hey, Melissa, hey, COA board, can you call and check on my mom? They have somebody to call, you can call them, or a volunteer calls them. And I'll speak to volunteerism is few and far right now.
Agreed. It's a call. Yeah.
I think everybody's having trouble finding it. It's not just the COA. In a small community like Berlin, I feel like the people that volunteer in several areas, and they just don't have any more to give, and so it's finding those people that have the time that can give it, and if it speaks to hours long, it then takes away some of the desire to do it. But I think that would be a great outreach thing to get back on track. You can run a report in my senior center and with the numbers that we have. And then if they tell you they don't want you to call again, you just take them off the list.
That was critical,
do not
actually,
call.
getting all of that information updated in my senior center, because you were probably running into the same thing, like so-and-so had moved away from town, so-and-so had passed away. The number was disconnected. There was a lot of wasted time, making obviously a lot of valuable time as well. But we've made efforts to compile a list that is actually got accurate and up-to-date information. So yes, if we could get a volunteer.
Think you stick someone down the transfer station?
So
Just so go say hi to everybody.
I
that
think-
come in.
I think we're in agreement that we need to support the COA. I think that's a general agreement that we would all like to make sure that the seniors are supported in as much as we can. So from a budget standpoint, I think we can all agree that one driver is that correct? One
Yep.
driver is,
Yep.
for me, it's the
Thanks, Kate.
medical appointments that are being addressed. And I think that, for me, that is the key thing with the van, is we need to get people to their medical appointments. I'd like to see other things, whether it's partnering with Neshoba and maybe funding some folks who can't do that if they have capacity, or looking at using Lyft vouchers, or looking at, a variety of ways to cover those other things going forward. But I think right now, we need to support the van to get people to their medical appointments in this, so that we can see a year of data and look at it next year and see where we are. Because we don't have enough data. I don't have enough data right now to know whether that's gonna be successful or not.
What happened to Catch Connect? Because I often see it when I'm tootling around Marlboro.
Catch Connect is great for the under 60 population, I believe. They were not, and I don't have any specific numbers. We can get them. And I can get that to you ASAP, but
Oh, before Wednesday?
we have, yes, tomorrow morning, I will email him, call him.
So, but I think the next year needs to be about looking at hybrid
Yeah.
systems and looking at ways that we can make this work and make
Right.
the dollars work in the most
It-
effective way, because using all that money for the van doesn't necessarily use those dollars in the most effective way. But we can't do that
Right now, yeah. Can I just ask one quick question on that? If partnering with Neshoba Neighbors, they're great.
Mhm.
Is there a legal or monetary or something that we can't do to a private company?
It is messy. I've tried to go
That we'll
down that
have to-
path a couple
yeah.
times. I would always continue to try to go down that path.
Okay,
Not just for them, but there's other places. When I first got on the select board, I tried for several years to get a like $10,000 fund to help people in town with like electric and heating bills.
yeah.
But we couldn't do it directly, and we couldn't contract with someone else, and I gave up, sadly.
Yeah,
Um,
because it'd be
And-
more trouble, yeah.
And before you speak, has the Council on Aging posted this as a public meeting of the Council on Aging?
No,
And so a majority of
No.
your board can't speak.
yeah.
And so before we start, as much as I want to hear from you, I'm sure, but I'm trying to make sure we don't accidentally violate any open meeting
Yeah,
laws,
law meeting.
stuff.
We don't want that.
And then how do we try to get to, because the budget season, we're printing the budget in 2 weeks. And so, or 3 weeks, we're printing it and it has to be in the mail. And so, and FinCom has to vote as well.
And FinCom is Wednesday? Is that why you were saying?
Well, they meet every Wednesday, but they have an entire budget to go through and as well.
Right,
We're
so you
down to
wouldn't make their
three
agenda for
lines
Wednesday.
ourselves, or three areas.
So
Do-
Peg, where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Right here, I'm right here.
I know you are, but what are your thoughts on, I mean, Scott has
I know.
suggested something. There's something on the table about making that a full-time position. There's the
Yeah.
one van driver. Where are you at?
I'm okay with one van driver. I am not okay with a full-time position. I am thinking it just might be a wee bit messy if you just have, here's $100,000 in the line, figure it out, you know, with that.
Yeah.
No, Jeff's no.
I would, if you look at the chart of accounts.
Yep.
It's pretty consistent, full-time, part-time.
No, consistently, I've been trying to get rid of that every year.
Well-
I chip away a couple more of those. Because we do these stupid
But-
year-end transfers because we have to go from full-time to part-time. Because a full-time person was on vacation, we came in part-time, we have to do votes at meetings. Just because the number of hours didn't change, the amount of department didn't change, but just because it's in the wrong silly line item.
Well, but currently, for instance, the part-time wages is just the van driver.
Mhm.
Right.
It's pretty clear.
Well, but it doesn't say van driver. If we really want to be van driver, we would call the chart of accounts van driver.
Okay.
But
I
again,
guess-
if we don't go down there, we're not
I
gonna.
guess the real
unravel it
question
yet,
is,
'cause
what's the appetite between the 28 and 36? If people are at least willing to stay the course, do they want to go up all the way, part way, or none of the way?
Personally, to me, there isn't enough numbers to support going up to 36, so I would stay at 28 and a driver and nothing more.
And Lisa, where are you at?
I think we already pay benefits. So the incremental, what is the incremental
Well,
up to
so-
get that to full-time?
Well, I mean, if you get, so. The 48,000 is the 28 hours round numbers, right? So 4 hours is gonna be 8,000. 36 hours is gonna be $16,000 in round numbers. Or you could do 30, so you could do 32, you could do 30, you could incrementally increase them. Go to the 36, depends what the will of the board is.
I know there's also a cost to having a Melissa walk out the door because she,
Yeah.
Right.
so.
And I
there's
think that's an
also a cost
important
there.
point to make.
So
too.
I'm still not sure quite where I am. I just know that those are things that are running through my head, is that every time we lose, we have, Melissa
Who's
has
trying
been.
Right.
Right.
I'm
So
horrified that we're losing her.
As are we.
I would,
Getting somebody else caught up.
Yep. I would like to then, I would like that, to make a motion that we support a council on ages, full-time wages at 65,000 and part-time wages at 20,000. Which is the 85 number that I had earlier, but allows the position to be 32, if not at least 32 hours. It could be a tiny bit
Depends what
more.
your hourly rate is.
Right,
So did you just motion? that?
yes.
Second.
And you're likely going on opposing this.
Correct.
I couldn't think of an easy sort of,
I know, no, I understand that,
Social.
but to me, it's, you know, we've been rather clear from the beginning that it was numbers, and that's what I've been looking for, and the numbers to me aren't there, and I understand it's very much a chicken and an egg, you know, with that, but, you know, we've tried this, we're on director number 3, and we can't seem to get any traction with any more people in town wanting to participate, so I can't,
right.
I
And
can't.
for me, it was, last year was the egg year where I tried to cut sort of everything back, and I think the town spoke a little bit at town meeting that they're willing to increase the tax rate
Yep.
for something like this. I think that I think the chicken egg is really, there's not enough time to do sort of the outreach, and so if we add hours, it adds outreach. It probably does mean that next year's budget cycle, you know, it gets tougher. Hopefully we're not hiring a COA director in December. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, because
I-
it's hard to do things without something like that.
Just this question,
Yep.
is the board comfortable with the expenses if you're gonna vote on the whole budget?
Yeah, I
Okay,
didn't
so-
mention the expense because the expense item is not changed. And
Right, I
so
just wanna
they
make
didn't
sure that-
ask for an increase in expenses.
So
And so
you make. it
I
work.
think it is the motion you're right is fully that it's 65 for line 73, council on aging full-times, 20,000 for council on aging part-time, believing that's generally a single van driver, and $19,189 because one of the line items can't be round, apparently, as expenses. With a motion and second, are we ready for the vote?
Mhm.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed?
No.
So it passes on 2-1. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. very
Thank you
much.
guys for your time.
Have a nice night.
I think we'll move on to the hazard mitigation plan.
Can we, the inspect, the commissioner, building.
Oh, building
commissioner is
inspector, sorry, I thought he was here for the hazard mitigation.
here? Nope. building
Sorry,
commissioner.
we'll do the building and commissioner regionalization update and potential vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks.
If I may. So, this is Tony Zaratis, how do I say that? Okay. So,
Tony.
I reached out, a couple weeks ago to the town administrator in Sterling, asking if we could get together about the potential regionalization that the board had thought about. We had a meeting last Thursday. The 4 communities were in favor of expanding to a 4th town. If the board moves in that direction, our assessment would be 73,750. And that includes all benefits. There's no additional cost for health insurance, pension, et cetera. That Tony is the current building commissioner for those 3 towns, and I thought he could give you a quick 10-minute or 5-minute overview of how the system would work. If we went down that route. If it was, we'd have to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the other, just amend the current one with the other 3 towns. And even if that doesn't happen, we would, I'd be recommending shortly that we retain his services and because our building commissioner's leaving in 2 weeks, so we need to fill the gap in at least till July if we go with the intermunicipal agreement. So maybe you can talk, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, yes,
to-
yes, please.
Hi, I'm Tony Zahariadis. I'm actually your alternate building inspector.
For a long time.
Yes.
For a long time. So I'm kind of familiar with the area. Basically what we're doing is, there's a shortage of building officials. And, we're trying to, well, we have created, sort of like, almost like, the Neshoba Board of Health. I have something like that where you do several communities. And you bring people in when you need them, people who do commercial work, people who do residential work, people who do zoning, for things like that. And we developed it and we kind of been working on it and, creating it and getting better and better at it. At one time, we were thinking about doing this, it kind of got delayed when Rich decided to stay an extra year. So, we're still in the background and, but basically is like, there's going to be one person who processes permits, who does zoning determination. That would be me. And I would be the sole person doing that. So whatever information I would need or whatever, it would be reflected to the applicants what we need through B. If we have stuff that we need for like, residential inspections, I'm going to bring in a local inspector who's, if not certified, on their way to certification. And then I'll oversee what's going on with that. And commercial stuff, we'll bring in the guy who is certified because we have people that will come and do that. So it's basically like a group thing of people coming in and out. And it's just more trying to create something like the Board of Health that you have, which I've worked with one of the members of the Board of Health before too.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, so we'd have a local inspector here on site.
Yeah, we'd cover it. So I think Rich is here 2 days a week. Is that what he is?
Yes.
Yeah, so we would cover the office 2 days a week for sure. And then I'd come every, swing
Yeah.
by, see what's going on, check out on everything, and just manage whatever is happening. So yeah, there would be somebody here, just as many days that you have already. And somebody this same caliber as Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if we, one, I'm a big fan of regionalization, so, and I think as we go forward, I think there can be conversations about how many hours it makes sense to be here. I don't
Yeah.
want, I mean, I think it's important to have hours here,
Mhm.
but I think having conversation, what hours we think have the most impact is definitely worthy of
Yeah.
having.
You always like to have hours because people always like to come in and ask questions.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people don't want to use the phone or email. They want to come in. So definitely have to have hours in the office.
Yeah, I've always preferred the asynchronous because I think of the question for the inspector at like, 10 at night and I don't want them responding to my emails at 10:35 at night. I want them to have some spaces. So we also have in the budget a part-time wages and an expense line. What are those for? And what happens to them if we do regionalization?
So the wages are, I believe, for the wiring and building
Yeah, for the
inspector, I mean, the
inspectors.
plumbing inspector
Well,
and
so the wages, so we don't have a plumbing inspector or an electrical inspector wages line. You're saying the part-time wages are for those two inspectors?
And Leanne is in one of those lines.
and the
right.
clerical support.
Okay.
I mean, I could, if you were gonna go down that road, I would re-examine all those things, but I didn't know which
Are
one.
they still paid by what they?
Yeah, the other inspectors
Yes.
are paid by what they bring in. So the
Right.
net is, so I think the motion we do line 48 is one of those offset by fees of some sort. And then we have sort of we have software and tablets that inspectors use that integrates well with what you do with the other towns.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
Okay.
I have software and I'm trying to locate like all of them to do the same thing. Obviously you can't
Yeah.
because you got a different one here. But the other two of the three of the other ones have it and we're gonna move to 3 out of 3 having
Right.
the same software. But yeah, that's how it works
Yep.
is because ever since COVID, everybody's online and it's kind of like, that's how you could see it, is through the portal. And then you communicate with the people through the portal, as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then when you can't, you got to talk to them,
Is there an integration that you have? Because I know at one point, I don't even remember when, we had talked about having a checklist. So I come to you, I need something. Fire Mike and his team need to sign off on it. 3 other people need to sign off it. So at any time, anyone can see that's done, that's done. Oh, look, this has been spinning for a week. So do we have that capability?
That's in our
I could-
software.
I
That's
could-
our
As
software.
someone who recently went through a permitting process,
Okay.
I could actually see quite clearly who had approved and who had not, and
Goodness.
did the good old fashioned thing of emails and phone calls because some people who need to approve don't watch it close enough to get it approved. But
Okay.
so it took me 6 weeks to get a permit.
Yeah,
So
6 weeks.
yeah, 6 weeks for a demo permit. There wasn't even any building involved.
I can also tell you that Rich was looking at alternate software packages, so that was happening at
Well,
one point.
and
I
if we-
don't know
So
when
you
that
guys,
was,
If we
but-
bought it
so
5
this
years ago,
isn't like
it's
the
time to
one
time
you're
to
gonna stay
reevaluate
with,
anyway.
or
What?
is this a
No,
software
like,
system?
I don't know how far he got with that, but I know as of like a year ago, he was investigating at least.
Well,
alternate
I also
software.
investigated one that would have integrated with fire as well, but
Oh, then we got the
something
deal with-
happened and we decided to stay with who we were.
I mean, it'll be a
And we
conversation
just
for the next
integrated
meeting.
the fire piece of that,
Yeah.
correct? So we have a contract for multiple years now, would be my guess, that just re-upped.
How's it been going with the towns? What is your feedback from people who come to you like Scott and say, I need are they waiting? They're on time? You guys are there?
I don't understand. What do you mean?
So the feedback from the town where
The other
it's-
towns?
The other towns.
Yeah.
the other
They don't
towns.
even
So-
know anything's changed.
Okay,
Yeah, like, I remember we had a discussion with the selectmen in one of the towns and they were like, oh my God, it's been 2 years, 3 years, and they didn't even know.
they didn't
it's
even know that
changed, yeah.
it was there. Okay,
And I think that's kind of the best thing you could say is that you don't even realize it's happening, but that's I think the best sign.
and you
That's
kind of
right.
have like a loop of other people in the background. So Scott is this inspector, he's violently ill. Lisa's next up, she's
Yeah.
violently ill. So you
Yes.
just go down the list.
Yes.
Okay.
And then so
That's what I like about it.
we're also like on a projected, long-term thing. We're also thinking about trying to do something with the electrical and plumbing inspectors too. That was like a long-term goal, is to actually integrate them into the same kind of concept where you could pick and choose and say, hey, like over there, go here, somebody's sick, so because they don't have that.
Right.
So like the plumbing inspector in Boylston is also the part-time, the assistant plumbing inspector in West Boylston. You know, and he's actually not available, so that guy can, so, but the thing is if you do it all together and you sign off on it, then they all work back and forth. You know, and that's, I think, like like something people should look into.
I believe if we vote on wanting to go down this path, it will change where it is in the budget. And so I think ultimately it would be to zero out the inspector salary and instead add an intergovernmental line for building inspector for that 73,750. And I'll leave that sort of spreadsheet update to you folks, because the dollar amount in the spreadsheet is fine, and that
Yes.
will just make sure it goes to the right spot.
And then I would go back and look at the wages and expenses to see if there's any effect on this.
Yeah, I'm expecting not much, because I think some of the expenses are the software and other stuff.
Well,
that's
no, yeah,
still gonna change
I'm
for now.
more.
I think in the next year or two, that might change, because I would love to think that they're all in one software platform so that they don't have to worry about, oh, in Berlin, I need this
Right.
link and this login, and I'm in Boylston, I need this other link and this other login.
We have like a software package in Boylston that we have to pay for.
Right,
And then the other software package that we have in the other towns, they put the fee on the application, so they don't have to pay for it.
right.
So it's kind of like,
That's what we were looking
you know,
into.
we're,
So
So it self,
we'll figure out
pay
how
for
much
itself.
software costs.
yeah, so you don't have to repay every year,
Right.
you know?
Okay.
One more quick thing. Most of the feedback I got about this was concern from ZBA members. What would you do to make our ZBA comfortable that you would be there? Because Rich is really good about hand holding and answering questions
So-
and doing those things.
What I do is like, I have these owner determination forms, so somebody comes in, they ask for something, and then I write up what it is that they need to do. So basically it says like, you know, okay, it's allowed by right, it's denied, need variance, denied, need special permit, and then I do the section of the bylaw that you need to go to address what it is that you need to get by. So that like I go down the line right through to what you're gonna do. So that, and then from there, I have communication through emails with the chairman of the board and talk about what it is that's going on. You know, they can call me if they want, but
Would you be able to attend a ZBA meeting? if
I
you needed
don't,
to?
I don't attend the ZBA meetings. Cause then it starts becoming crazy, cause then I'd have to attend all the
Four
meetings.
towns.
What I do, I give them like the information,
Mhm.
what they need, and it's really, I think I do a good job as far as explaining what it is they need. Some, you know, we'll get communications back and forth with the people. I get telephone calls back and forth on what it is that we need. And then from there, they go on and do the thing. Like, I don't go to the meeting and sit there and say, you know, like, you gotta do this, you know?
Yeah, I don't think Rich does that either.
Mhm.
But I know they're very comfortable with him and they were nervous about this sort of change. So that's
Well,
why I wanted you to
I
explain.
think I need to be like effective communicating with them what needs to happen or why it's happening.
Mhm.
You know, so that's sort of like the focus is on that is, and I got these little brackets. And I write in there what they need to do and which section of the bylaw and what they have to go through, and I give it back, and you know, and it all based on what the stuff the people tell me. If they don't tell the truth or they leave stuff out, well, that determination is no good anymore because you didn't come up with the whole thing. You know, so sometimes they'll like to give you part of the question, you know, to get a certain answer. You know, and those determination forms are only good for whatever they supply on piece of paper.
Ready for a motion?
Mhm.
So I'll do the motion then. I will move that we move forward with regionalization of the inspectional services. And that we adjust the requested budget for building inspector salary to zero, but building inspector intergovernmental, whatever we're gonna call that line item, to the 73,750 to be the fourth town in the collaborative.
Second.
More discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think it is fine to, with the existing budget, you can go down find an interim to get us through, because this budget officially is a July 1 sort of.
So I
budget,
would
so-
put it on the agenda in the next week or two, put in, do you need a local inspector?
You want me to be the local inspector?
Well, no, to fill in for 3 months, but.
Yeah, I
but
can do that.
It would be directly with
Just
the,
us. Yeah.
just you maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'd have to.
This
outcall-
agreement is costing us less money than the building inspector was costing us. So we would have the money in the budget.
We
just
don't-
it'd
That's
It'd be in the wrong line item.
Well,
It's
not
gonna
the,
be an intergovernmental expense as
no,
opposed
no,
to
no, for the
Not-
next 3 months.
Temporary
He's our
appointment.
backup
Well, yeah.
regardless.
I was thinking of making this effective July 1st instead of, April 1st.
No, because the other towns, theirs
Okay, okay.
expires June 30th,
Okay,
so.
so, yes, and so,
So he needs to be appointed and I'll put that on the agenda.
what is the agenda for tonight, Reed? Building
Well, we
commission
don't know what his
revisit-
hourly
okay.
rate is or.
Okay, sure.
is-
So for the next agenda, we'll have a vote on the agenda to vote for an interim agreement that gets us between April 1st and July 1st.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll call. I'll talk.
Okay.
there's a chance that we could do this without you having to come to another meeting.
Okay, I mean, I work Monday nights in Boylston, so they just
Yeah.
told me to
Just
have,
down the
Yep.
road.
yeah, they said come down.
Yep. We'll know ahead of that meeting whether we think we have questions that require
Your attendance.
more, but as it's your current assistant,
Mhm.
I think
this
unless
is-
the
this is
hourly
not
rate
the
is
first time.
outrageous, right. Okay,
So let me know.
Yep.
You know,
Thank you.
also I'd like to know if I can get into the software.
We'll get you a login.
Yeah, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our third of 3 hearings tonight then is the hazard mitigation, Berlin's hazard mitigation plan. Fiona's gonna present, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I just do Shrek on the brain.
I know.
Yeah.
She's very good about sitting in the
Okay.
chair. Does she
Luke really wanted.
hang in the house
to-
on the chair?
Can't- I
Yeah.
think this
She
should
does
be a
that,
dog here,
the same,
maybe not.
I have the same chairs down in my office, she'll sit in them. So she's used to, it. Although now that she's napped, she's probably gonna try to go say hi to everybody.
Yeah, you can let her
I
run
would
free. We're
hope
good.
so.
Hi, Fire Mike.
How are you?
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you.
So hazard mitigation plan.
Yes, so we've spent the better part of just about a year now going through updating the hazard mitigation plan, and that's a document that's required to be on file by FEMA. That just outlines basically disaster, prone areas, if you will. We went through and, we updated. It's pretty much the same thing you've probably seen over the last 10 years. They get updated every 5 years. We usually get a grant that goes with it to pay for it. And we use the CMRPC to actually kind of coordinate this for us. So we kind of go through, we updated a couple things that were added this year that we took a look at. You'll see some more stuff in there that in regards to flooding with some of the flood zones. I know there was a section that was actually put in on tornadoes where we actually talked about that, where we had a history of microbursts and tornadoes in town previously. We've now added one more to it. So this was just a process where we went through and just updated that and updated the plan, put the proper contacts in for department heads and everything else. So this plan went through, as I said, we spent a long time actually going through it with all of the meetings that we had with town employees and stakeholders and public meetings. Come on. And it was sent in through MEMA and ended up going to FEMA for review. They did kick it back with a couple things with the the floodplain review plan that we needed to have. That was updated, sent back to FEMA, and now this is the final one where FEMA has approved it. It's all set to go and just needs your approval and adoption, and then we will have an updated hazard mitigation plan on file.
When you first joined,
Mhm.
the town caught on fire.
Yes, it did.
It wasn't you. And I know that there were some lively discussions regarding fire's ability to get onto Pisgah
Yes.
and do what you need to do to put out that fire. Do you still see that is an issue with any type of,
It is identified in the plan.
I saw it
Yep.
and that's why I wanted to bring it up.
And we did bring that up, and that is something that is still, it's something we need to deal with, not only from a fire perspective, but also from a medical perspective, that God forbid, if somebody does have a cardiac event out there, we can't safely get out there with any vehicles to get them. We have the ability to be able to do that with gates, and fire roads, if you will, and stuff, that are locked with the only ones that can get access to it are the fire department, and it is something we should probably push with the Conservation Commission to be able to build that out there, because where we own the property, we're kind of liable for having the ability to get out there and make a reasonable attempt at a rescue. And that is one of the reasonable attempts, is to get out there through a fire road or some type of access that can give us our apparatus.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering where that was, because I know it was a small bone of contention
Mhm.
about why do we need to put in a road?
Yeah. So the hope is that with this plan adopted, that'll be round 2 of coming back to say, we've identified it as something that FEMA has identified as well, and it's something we need to talk about further.
And you kind of sort of have no choice.
In a matter of speaking,
Nicely, though.
yes.
Nicely, as Fire Mike would do it
Yes.
nicely. Mhm. Okay, I mean, that was the only one that I had the question on.
Address changes difficult to do in this? Like the cistern at One Village Lane is not at One Village Lane, it's at 93 Village Court.
Oh,
One
that's
Village
good.
Lane is a townhome that does not have a cistern.
That's a good
underneath it.
point. No, it is not hard to
Okay.
change that at that.
I have a couple of those. We don't need to take up meeting time. I'll
Yeah,
just send you an
if you
email.
can send them
Yep.
to me, that'd be perfect.
Yep. None of which make any material change to the plan and the hazards and the mitigation, so.
Nope, and now's the
Okay.
time to go ahead and update it.
Yep. You
Good motion to approve.
Seconded.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
What was
Hide
your
signatures.
Huh?
What was your motion to approve?
Yes, to approve,
Adopt it?
adopt, if that's the word we're supposed to
Yeah.
use. Yes.
Need 3 signatures.
Does it have
it's
anything
in
to
the
do with Wheeler
signature
Dam?
folder.
I thought it should be in the signature folder.
No, I have a separate plan.
Oh,
on
I don't know
Wheeler
if it
Dam,
was.
That is
I
done
didn't
through,
see it.
it's being done through a
Okay.
private company where they're looking at
Don't walk
taking that
away
down,
with
and
it.
that's going through the,
Thank you.
whatever the dam organization is for the Commonwealth. And I actually have a binder they send to me every year with the updates on it and stuff. So they're still working through, if you will, the demolition plan of how they're going to take that out and remove it.
Yeah. Because there was quite the article in the Community Advocate about the dam in Northborough and how if, wherever that is, if that goes, it's severely
Yeah.
impacting everything around it.
Yeah, we have a couple of those waterways where not as severe as Northborough, but they're just there, at least there for us for a flooding event that if we start to have a top over event that takes place or something along those lines. That's where it's identified for us to at least start an evacuation zone and start notifying people and kind of going through that plan to identify those people that they need to move to a higher
Surely,
ground.
the one in Berlin, didn't it already breach the dam like years ago?
Oh, on Wheeler Pond?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that one's already failed. There's not much, that's not a concern if that one was to fail.
no, that's like a little drip when you're
Correct.
going down Lower Pleasant. you know,
Correct.
Yeah, because they've removed the boards, and so it doesn't hold
Yep.
back the water it used to.
Okay.
Did they vote?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
They voted
Okay,
to
yeah,
adopt.
okay.
And signed.
And signed.
Thank
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
In here,
Yep.
we're gonna talk about earmarks shortly
Oh.
here. Can I put you on the spot? Is there anything that you would like on that list
For an earmark?
for a
From the state.
legislative earmark?
Oh, well, actually,
Or do you have, yeah.
Wait,
yeah. well,
now you ask.
I have a long
This
list of
is
stuff.
what I'm asking.
Well, one of the things I was actually reading through today is for the ALS program was looking at, there's a rural communities grant. And I wish I could remember what it was actually called, but I know the governor signed it and it's like $162 million. And it's for some healthcare in rural communities, which we sit in and we're identified on the map on there and stuff. And that was something that I was looking at trying to reach out to the Driscoll administration, just moving forward as we're going ALS to look at trying to get some of that money to offset that. Coming up with a plan to be able to get people to, a higher level hospital, level 1 trauma center, excuse me, or for a cardiac cath over to Worcester, that type of thing. And identifying with the outreach for the senior population that, at that ALS level, we can get there.
That's a grant?
That's a grant.
It is.
So this is really set aside in the
Yeah.
annual budget of the legislature. They
Okay.
always ask for the commu, so you wouldn't apply for that if there's already a grant. Is
Oh,
there
gotcha.
something
But if
else?
you have things on your list that
Right,
were
right.
not in this year's budget.
Right.
Or sometimes even were, or something further down on your list that you can't get right away.
Mhm.
Do those things exist where we could potentially ask for support in that area? Because normally you give them a list of things and then they choose.
Mhm.
Okay.
So if there are things like that,
Just trying to think off the top of my head.
we could potentially vote to put that on the list if you can get that list over quickly, because this is happening relatively rapidly.
Yeah, I can give an additional list of some of the ALS equipment that we would need for an earmark for like another monitor, some of the airway machines that we would
That's
have.
great.
Great.
That-
Yeah,
that's the
excellent.
list.
Because I
Yep.
think that is appropriate.
Yep.
Yes.
And don't
Yes.
short shift it,
Okay,
okay?
all right. So I will get that to Mr. Nutting
I would think
tomorrow morning.
even We have warrant articles, some of these things where they're gonna come from taxpayers is all
Right,
the
so-
one-time cost to get us to an
I
ALS
think-
community. Yep.
Support for Berlin
Yep.
ALS system or something
Yep.
general like that would be a
Yep.
good thing to put on that list.
Yep.
Perfect. I will get that to you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Fire Mike.
You're
Uh-oh, she
welcome.
found something.
Yep.
Or did you give her a snack?
No, probably found something.
Oh, great.
Who's good at that?
Next on the agenda is general public comment. If there's anyone in the audience, let us know. If there's anyone online, raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll look again in a moment after we do an interim town administrator report, although I think your report is mostly going to be incorporated in under other business.
It was,
correct?
yes,
Yep.
so I
Yep.
eliminated that and put
Yep.
it other
That
places.
is
so-
totally fine. And so I think I'll look at sort of the discussion and vote on the fiscal year 27 budget. There actually, at this point, is only one remaining item that we have not voted on yet, and that is the school budget. The school did do a presentation. They did sort of have their meeting Tuesday, and FinCom talked about it on Wednesday.
Right, so the new
There are the
numbers.
days, because
right.
I didn't watch the Tuesday, but I saw I was at FinCom on Wednesday. And so, and I thought I looked at the budget on the screen.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
10,912,875.78. So, and then,
Right, sorry, it has been updated since FinCom, so,
Correct.
so the cheat I used at FinCom to know what changes they made are not on the budget in front of us right now. The short, they do have in the folder is the list of their capital items. At
Right.
FinCom's request, FinCom asked them to put some things out of the operating and into capital and move deficiency and income from capital to operating to lower the amount that they're asking from taxpayers and increase the amount that they're doing out of free cash. The Hag math rounding was that capital requests went up about 80 to 85,000, but that operating requests went down by 130,000.
Okay.
So they actually did what FinCom had requested of them.
Correct.
It means that the total top line number is still up 9%, although it was higher than that because the net came down about 80,000 or so, or 50,000 or so. And so that's the numbers. I don't have the detail, Jeff using at the time, the full detail of how what they did to reduce it by 130. I think FinCom still has some follow-up questions. We don't actually have to fully vote tonight, although it might not be bad just to have our sort of gut impressions that we consider to FinCom, even if we are short of a vote.
So they were asking for a van as well? I missed that.
Maybe they use the Council on Aging then. The Council on Aging is actually older and designed actually for more accessibility.
Yeah.
I bet
I know.
they would need. Part of for me is at the end of the day, we vote on the bottom line number. And that they're allowed to move from one line item to another. They've always been very good at letting us know when they make changes on the line items. Although I generally would love, smaller numbers over larger numbers. I both have less of a energy for a fight. I think their numbers are the best they've been in 3 or 4 years. I might not be ready to vote to recommend yes on their budget at the moment, but I think it's going in the right direction.
Are they done? So they're done. They're not
yeah, they
gonna,
took care of.
they're not gonna sharpen their pencils anymore.
There's not a plan for them to sharpen their pencils anymore at the moment. I'm sure if both FinCom said we hate your budget, they might, but I don't know what direction they might end up going. Because we've seen times we've said sharpen your pencils and the numbers come back higher.
I know.
Do we know where Boylston's landing at this point? Do we have any?
No, these came out last Wednesday morning.
Right.
So
So, but
well,
it might have
Wednesday
been effective.
afternoon to me, and then I don't know if they must have got it to Boylston already, but I have no
I
idea.
know Boylston was, who typically is in more of a fiscal sort of constraint,
Mhm.
had some really good new growth numbers this year, which allowed them to
Mhm.
be less worried than they've historically been about these numbers. I don't know if these numbers then fit what they wanted or not, but
So the driveway is out, correct?
The
Or
parking lot.
parking lot, yes, thank you.
I don't believe it's on their list of votes.
I
That's
was
the-
looking, I couldn't find it. I just want to be sure because our
No.
capital people said no
Right,
to the parking lot.
right. And why do I keep going back to the hazard mitigation plan? Please pull up the school.
Do you want to share?
No, it's,
Okay. So how much was the increase to BMS over to Honto
operating our capital.
capital?
Substantial, because the Berlin Memorial originally was 25,000,
Right.
gone
Oofa.
to 169,000.
Yep.
But I think the reverse happened to Hunter. To Hunter was like
59
Yeah.
to,
59.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought 259,
down
they
to
dropped to
180.
170, yeah,
Right.
175,
Yeah.
70, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the increase at Berlin Memorial is 11.7 versus 7.2 at Toronto.
Right, so the operating at Berlin goes up more than the operating in Tohoto.
The middle school furniture, that has bugged me for years. And I know that we can't do anything about it, but dear God, can there please be some type of quality control so they are not buying desks that kids don't fit in again, because no one seemed to know where the furniture came from or how it came to be. That's one of those things that bother me. You know, oh, we need this. Well, where did it come from? I don't know. Well, who quality tested it? Oh, I don't know.
That's the problem. You go through 3 or 4 administrations and a couple of interims in 5 years and.
And we can only vote on a number, I know.
Well, but it's also like a mistake that was made by who knows who 3 or
I
4 years ago.
And it just.
Do you punish the school by saying, we think it was a super safe for you to continue to have 9th graders fit in chairs that are made for 6th graders?
And the truth of the matter is that, like, certainly 7 or 8% is pretty normal
In this
for
environment, right?
increase in this environment. I would love it if it was lower, but I don't know how you do when the fixed
Right.
costs are rising the way that they are.
Right, and the
It's the
state's not
same as in
putting
the,
up. the-
in this building. I
Right.
don't know how you.
Right, Worcester Regional Retirement is at 10%, so Worcester Retirement is going up more than Tohoto, and we have less say even over that one, short of turning off retirement, which you can't do, so, because that number is for people who've already,
retired.
And we don't
So
have any,
I guess I really appreciate that they're working with FinCom. I really appreciate that it's not 16% to start this year.
I appreciate that they came up with what they say is their final number on March 10th and not March 28th.
And we don't have any more information from the state and what they would be with all their mandates
Nope.
and.
You're not gonna know that till June or July.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, you'll see some increases, but it's not gonna be
Yeah.
enough.
The perfect storm. Okay.
Yeah. I can tell you that they're looking at things. I was at the, I'll talk about this later, but I was at the Mass Municipal Legislative Update on Friday. And certainly they are looking at those things. Certainly people are pushing on those things. But it's not gonna be immediate because you have to
Yeah.
readdress those
Yeah.
formulas.
Okay.
And so, if we recommended the school budget and all the other numbers we've already voted on hold, we're looking at a little over a 7% increase in expenditures.
Compared to what in the past?
Well, again, the goal has always been trying to get to
I
4
know.
or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5. What happened to 2.5? Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
we're eating into our excess levy capacity at the rate we're going. We probably have maybe 3 years left before we hit that, and
Really?
we're
Yeah.
forced at 2.5, we're doing overrides.
But
or-
another thing I can share with you is the room that I was in, they actually asked the question of those who had had an override in the last 5 years.
Right.
I was like the only one who didn't raise their hand.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Yeah.
it is not that we are doing
Right.
really well with the conditions that we have
Right.
been given.
Right, the decades of fiscal prudence in the town has allowed us
Yeah.
to weather this storm better than almost any other town in the state has weathered.
But there were, even this year, there was
Yep.
a significant portion where,
I know.
yes, we'll be doing an override.
Yeah, I mean, you see it in the
Um,
paper all the time.
Yeah.
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 So what, all we can do is present the budget that we feel that
Mhm.
is responsible to town meeting. If we need an override because of because of fiscal conditions, there is very little we can do about that. And then the town decides whether they want that or to cut their services fair. So
Correct.
So are we interested in a vote or are we not?
Yeah, give it a week. Let FinCom chime in a little bit more.
are we coming back next week?
I was hoping not to come back next week, but we are at still 8:15 and just started all of our discussion points for tonight. We also, there's no reason why we have to vote before FinCom too. We could, when we meet on the 30th, decide that we'll see where things stand there and
Yeah, I think
Yep.
we're expressing
Yep.
tentative approval.
Yeah. Warrant articles?
Yeah.
Are there changes we want to start to make? There's definitely some yellow on it. I thought there were a couple from the last meeting we were.
Have you
talking
voted
about.
on any? Because I wasn't here.
We don't necessarily vote.
Oh,
on them.
okay.
We basically vote to make sure the wording and if there's information from us that is necessary.
So I did
uh,
have a question.
Yep.
So I made a little cheat sheet that you should have, kind of easy to.
Yep.
So Article 27 is to adopt Chapter 59, 41C.
Take that off.
I didn't know where it came from
Yep.
but
I think we're
it
dropping it.
was in their draft, so I didn't know, so take it off.
Yep.
Take it off.
So then renumber, okay.
Yep.
This calls to reopen the warrant to put up before town meeting and easements for the telephone wires on South Bridge. If you can't go forward without it.
Yes, so we have a new Article 27.
Well, but my point is either tonight or next week, you need to reopen the warrant.
Right.
And then,
It is on the agenda tonight to reopen. the
okay,
warrant.
okay, so that was.
We have it on 2 nights. I didn't know if
Yeah.
we'd be ready tonight or if we'd
Well-
be ready next week.
We could, well, yes, I think we're going to, on as an agenda, to reopen the warrant, add that one to it. With a little bit of vagueness to it, with the idea that we have a couple weeks to really sharpen pencils on it to see what.
Okay,
I also think that we're not gonna have everything perfectly ready for warrant time, and so we're gonna keep the motion to allow the town to do zero cost easement, because they're not gonna, we're not gonna pay somebody for the easement, correct?
we believe not, but you
Right.
still have to,
Right.
have the project.
Right, right.
They
no,
they
but-
said
but
they
that-
didn't,
But that, when we take it to town meeting, that we're gonna try to do the legal costs within our legal budget and we'll not, the landowners aren't getting compensated, so that's not
That's
like we have to have a penny number to it and we don't.
That's
need
correct.
approvals from other
Sure.
committees.
You're correct. So just some, we're still waiting on Article 3 for the numbers. We're obviously gonna finalize the snow and ice deficit and the other one I changed the OPEB to 115,000. I know the board had
Right.
considered a higher amount.
No, we consider lower, but we could,
Mhm.
because we were advised that
Okay.
100,000 would put us over the magic number of 250 that allows us to get better interest on that
It's
account.
actually,
And we need 115,000, not 115, not
Oh.
100.
Okay.
And so I
Right.
thought that we would, and we're in that section. And so I would do a motion that OPEB be raised to, recommended at 115,000, 115.
Mhm.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye. And to be, the fiscal policy of what to do with free cash actually said that we could go up to 287,000. It's just that towns are not funding this at high
Full
levels. And so there was no reason for us to do, and to keep it as free cash gives us more flexibility going forward. one of the things I want to talk about on the warrant then is start time of the meeting. We got notification today, the state has approved our bylaw change that removes start time from the bylaws so that we can start when we would like. The question is, would it cause confusion? Now, this is not published at this point, not printed at this point, and so we can change the time to something else that lets us start a little earlier. And get that blasted out there in time to have impact.
Yeah, noon, no.
Well, both in, just to be clear, both in Vermont, I believe, and New Hampshire,
days.
it is a state holiday where things close and they have town meetings during the daytime
Nice.
on a weekday because they try to close everything so people can attend. And so at some point, when I talked about our legislators, I think it's because both of those states are way more towns than cities, and I think we have way more cities, at least population wise, in cities than we have in towns. But what would be a time?
I'd say similar 6:30.
Do you think we can do 6:30? Try to get people there at 6 to start checking in, and we start the meeting at 6:30?
Especially since we've already
Yep.
talked about a lot of the beginning is housekeeping.
Right,
Correct.
right. So is
But
there,
yeah,
yep,
I would encourage that we start on time.
right. Right,
Of
and
course,
so,
it's at the discretion of the moderator. As chairs continue to be set
Right.
up and there's running around, that we can say, get in at 6, get in your seat, starting at 6:30, and could be sitting at the front table for a half hour.
right, but we can also, though, like we have in the warrant article in front of us, and when we do our other stuff, is try to remind people, try to get there early, because if people are generally sitting and there's not a line out the door into the parking lot at 6:30, we're more likely to want to start the meeting. And there's things we have control over and things we don't. And so,
So
is there a motion to change the start of the meeting time to 6:30?
I moved.
So you're gonna do that under opening the warrant? Or you didn't?
Do we have to open the warrant to change that?
No, we have to open the warrant,
To add the phone
You-
polls.
change.
Yeah,
the-
to do 27 at least.
Yeah,
yes. So-
okay.
Okay, so first let's do a motion to open the warrant.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can you just put in a close date and time
Tomorrow,
for the
right?
warrant? Maybe tomorrow at noon?
Well, yeah, close the warrant.
Sure, tomorrow at noon
Yeah,
is when it closes.
Right.
Doesn't allow someone to get a citizen petition in a short period of time, but
go for it.
And who made the motion? Was that you, Lisa?
Yep.
Yes.
Peg seconded. We all said aye.
Aye.
I think with the warrant open, we'll just start that. We'll get to the easement one before we're done. A motion to start the meeting at 6:30?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye. The odds we get done by 10 or 10:30 gets significantly easier when we start an hour earlier. I was gonna think through, it's not, the fund, the fire grant, we're still waiting on the town clerk, a town accountant to get us a number for that one.
Yeah, and she's at school till Wednesday.
Okay.
And
okay.
we have a meeting Wednesday with the fire chief and her to get all that.
Yeah. Article 4, it says we're waiting compounds to draft the agreement, but that article warrant is written
Which one?
fine. Article 4, it's highlighted yellow. I'm looking at the ones that yellow to me implies there's things to do.
Oh, no, I.
But Article 4 doesn't have money. It's the town property line agreement. I think we don't need to have the final agreement drafted to send out the warrant, do we?
No, we just have
No.
to have all the information
Right.
for the article.
Do we think we'll have that in the next 2 weeks?
Well, I'd leave it on. I mean, no, because the warrant article is fine. It's just what
Right.
the final motion is.
Right. And in theory, it could go out like this, and we could have the details at the meeting.
We can always amend the,
Right.
read a different motion. Right, so.
Snow salt, definitely. You talked about the budget items. We're just waiting for all the budget numbers to be finalized. That's the 7, so there's nothing to talk about 7.
Yeah, right.
The next yellow is transfer to stabilization. That's gonna be they're looking at a general stabilization. Yeah, no, general stabilization. No, I thought FinCom was ready for the 287.
Right, the question I had was really on the capital, the 592, who proposed that? It wasn't,
That's FinCom. And
Okay.
FinCom's gonna do so FinCom for capital stabilization is going to do a math formula of how much free cash recommendation says should go into stabilization, minus the amount for town capital, minus the amount for school capital. The remainder is what they're gonna put in, which is likely a significant number because the town is doing very little capital this year, which is the whole purpose of capital stabilization. Is years where it's small, you put a lot into that fund.
Yep.
And then years where it's big, you can take out of that fund so that we don't destroy free cash.
so that motion is gonna be a sum of money, not a fixed amount in the next 2 weeks.
FinCom will vote on a number that will be. Yes.
That will make it into the warrant?
If they don't, then there's not a warrant. FinCom. it's
No,
FinCom's
my
motion.
question is right now, the motion says that number, but.
Right. It will be on FinCom to change it.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yep. And they have a formula to change it. And once they agree on the school budget, they'll know what that number will be.
Okay,
The paramedic training, Article 23 is the next one where there's a yellow on, but that's just waiting for the chief to review the language of the
Yeah.
description. It probably could
Right.
go out as is if
Right.
he didn't come up with something better. Same with the defibrillators, him coming up with some of the language. I know that
that just-
FinCom had
I-
wanted
I-
to know how many and where.
I have all that,
Yeah, good.
and then yep,
And so Article 27, as it's written, we're removing and replacing with one for easements related to the South Street Bridge.
well, I was gonna push 28 to 27 and make
Just
the
move them all up.
easement 28. Just so we don't have to,
Just move them up, yeah.
Sure.
yeah, just move them all up.
Because it's already written, 29 is
Right.
already written about the telephone guide
Right, right,
wires.
just move the numbers, right?
Yep. So 27 is gone. We're adding the 29. We need a motion to add the 29, correct?
Correct.
So this is the permanent easement for telephone
Is it guide or guide?
guide. I thought guide was
Guide? Is it
GUID.
guide wires or guy, GUI? Because it's written as guy.
Hmm.
Like Scott's a guy.
Right.
Guide.
Guide.
Got-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
GUID, yep.
Okay.
Yep. That was my mistake. Too quick.
That's fine. Motion, I'll do the motion to add an Article 29, although I get numbers will
28.
potentially change, as a permanent easement for telephone guide wires,
Hmm.
as related to the South Street Bridge.
Guy.
It's GUI.
GUI.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, well, but
Okay.
for the next meeting, we'll look up the etymology and where that comes
Yes,
from.
guide, yes, please.
Well, no, I think it's gonna be, if it says online that it's guide wires,
Yeah,
then it
I
is,
think
but
it
I'm
is.
sure there's a story about how that is, why that is the word.
Some guy said we need wires.
That's right.
So at some point, we
First
might have to
AI.
put at the end of the motion, yes, it's guy, not guy. So,
Someone will bring that up
Yes.
and say,
Tim knows.
yep,
is there a second to the motion to add 29?
Well,
Second.
it's gonna be 28, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
good.
Second to
Yeah.
add the motion.
Right.
Yeah, add the warrant article. right.
Any more discussion on it?
Mm-mm.
All in favor? Aye. And it looks like we're getting closer to actually be good. 20, sorry, 20. And to current Article 26, the collection of fees, we're waiting for the accountant as well. If we don't get it in time, we don't get it in time when it comes out.
No,
Okay.
Because
what do you mean? That's just to adopt a general law.
Right, but
That's
it
the
should
one
have
that's going.
but should have a description and a motion on it to,
Yeah, I've been starting to write all those.
yeah,
I don't know who put it in. That's for conservation.
right, but it's the,
So
I thought the town accountant was the one who was going to write this to make sure we put.
well, I can, again,
I think that there was an email about that.
Yep,
wanna know why they're called guy wires?
okay, why?
Originated from Guy Fawkes, a 17th century conspirator whose execution involved scaffold ropes for support. Over the time, Guy became associated with stabilizing cables, which is why telephone wires are referred to as guy wires.
so, and
Not
here's,
to do with gender, but last name, see?
That is correct. First names,
First name.
first name. Yep.
so this is the language for the
Good.
53G. I pulled it out, get it into the warrant with the accountant.
Yep. Let's see, so that means we snuck in 6C because we opened the warrant to make a couple of those changes.
Mhm.
Earmark requests. That we started a little bit, but that's the next item. The only other one that sort of came to mind for me thinking of them is rail trail. And
Oh.
continuing to sort of move the rail trails. Hudson now has the money to do planning to the part that connects to the town of Berlin at this point. And so we do potentially have a partner now, at least on that side, to continue it along. And I think it becomes a bigger and bigger priority for the state as more and more sections get moved along. So I don't know how we get from I think there's a subcommittee of conservation that might have what is the next step and about how much that might be.
Do you have design?
No, we've not, I think design is the next step. I think we've done like the surveying and have a path, at least for the first stage, to get us to Coburn Road.
I can ask, Concom is Wednesday.
Okay.
Is there anything on the bridge, the South Street Bridge that would,
No, we have
Detail
$1.5 million. I'm told by the engineer that should be sufficient.
Are there any other
Yeah.
bridges in town that
Oh.
are,
I don't know that answer.
we really should try to come up with a few things under
Yeah.
transportation and education.
Yep.
So that's why I'm. Anything in highway, I know the brine truck came up, but
Mhm.
I have, Carolyn is looking at that for the MVP grant,
Mhm.
and Tim also had thoughts on that, so.
You know how much it costs the town every time when they do a full circle of the town, how much, I was floored, it was either Tim might have come up with it last week at NRE. $2,000 every time they sweep through the town once and drop whatever they drop on the road,
Oh,
that's $2,000 that we're all driving over.
So
Every
maybe we put that on and as a
But what-
a brining
brine.
system
Oh,
or a
okay.
brine truck.
Well, it's an attachment, yeah.
Um,
Well, you can't get a truck for $100,000, I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
I'm just like
The
Right.
insert.
something
Um,
to
And then you need the
facilitate,
tank. You need a
that
big giant
system.
tank to hold the brine.
Right. I would,
but
look-
that falls under transportation too.
No, I
so,
know, but I'm just,
yeah.
this is due in 3 days. I don't know if we
right,
can get the
I would
numbers
look,
and.
I would look at the
She said that
2028 capital
You
plan.
could really ballpark it at this point. She just wanted to know what they might be talking about. I told
Okay.
her today.
Okay,
So the suggestion was, look at the 2028 capital plan. We do have a 5-year capital and we know things that we couldn't afford this year that got pushed off.
Mhm.
And so, if there's anything, if there's, the especially fire equipment. And I know you only have 3 days, but I'd call the school and they have a capital plan going out. There's probably things they couldn't get in this year's. I would try to focus on Berlin Memorial myself. But if they had next
Yeah,
year,
or,
we're planning, or 2 years, we're planning to ask for
if
this for
we
Berlin Memorial.
Thought the playground was gonna happen, those ADA parking lot or parking places would
Right.
be a good one.
yep.
Another
Um,
thing on public safety, if we do rail trail, do we have the equipment, like are our gators too big to
Wait.
get on those?
Wait, what?
The gators where like I fall down in the middle of some road and fire has to come out and get me. Does the equipment that we have, is it too big for the roads that will be
Oh,
built
like
on
you
the
don't
rail?
have
No,
an
the
eight-
rail trails.
like-
Okay,
You don't have an ATV or something? you need?
We do have an ATV.
we have an
but
ATV.
The ATV,
Right.
the ATV would fit on the rail
Yeah.
trail. I thought they were saying it was, I wouldn't say 16 feet from side to side, but maybe that feels big.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
It was
Right.
substantially wide.
Right, that if the rail trail goes through,
Right.
that we have the equipment to get
Yeah.
out there to get somebody if they need help.
Better than we can on our current trails.
And also the replacement of the blinky sign, I brought that up before.
Oh,
The blinky sign?
The yellow blinking sign is currently our informational sign.
Oh, you're talking about a signboard?
Yes,
Yeah.
well,
an electronic sign.
That moves around town.
they put at construction sites for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, but could, you have one?
Yes.
Do you want another one?
No, I want a permanent LED.
You want a nice sign.
I want a sign that makes us look like a grown-up town.
And do you have land to put it on?
No.
Tim actually brought up today that if we're knocking down the fire station,
Oh,
The town owns that
that
land.
might be a really good place to put it, and they're screening from the trees. He brought it right up on
Yeah, I
the
don't-
screen, maybe? No?
No, I'm just thinking, getting a signboard's easy, getting a permanent sign.
A permanent sign, our bylaws allow the town to put a permanent sign.
I
But we
mean,
need to be
you
careful
you
because
need
remember,
electricity, you need. you know,
Right.
But if it's 100, less than 100 yards from this building,
I know, but we were also thinking of having that as
The
an exit
driveway.
out.
Right,
it's
The
not
driveway.
mutually exclusive.
But there's
I know,
a
but can you
significant,
have the sign in the driveway?
is-
at
the
same
other
time?
spot is
Okay.
up where it is now.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
The
that
only
is
concern
conserva-
there is there's
Conservation.
conservation land, but depending on where you put it and how you made it,
Right.
we may be
Yeah,
able
we don't have to solve all the,
We don't
because
have to
it's gonna
solve the
go,
problems. I
right.
just think
Yep.
Just need a sign.
yep,
if we got it, then we could,
yeah,
Figure it out.
I think that's
Figure it out.
good to add to the list.
Okay.
I was thinking of doing just from the town, admit the TA job, sorry, advertisement, I don't know where it's at. Oh, no, sorry, interim town hours and priorities, sorry, E is the right direction. Yep. And so we had in the, what?
Are you skipping over stuff? Are we done
No.
with the earmark? Because all
Oh,
of a sudden,
I-
you just like.
Does that require a vote?
or was it me? I don't know.
So
Sorry.
Usually I have trouble.
Okay, I'm done.
Thought anyways.
Sorry, I thought we were done now. I thought we'd come up with a list that has a dozen things on it at this
So
point.
are we providing a list or do we need to take a vote on which one we're
We need to
interested in?
provide a
applying for?
list.
A list.
I would
okay.
provide a list.
Okay.
And then the legislators tend to pick and choose
whichever.
what
Okay.
aligns with their thoughts.
Do we need anything else upstairs? For the build out?
For the,
No, I think we're gonna have enough money for everything.
well, yes, however, if there is a thing, put it on there that then we don't have to pay for it. So if there's anything in the barracks build out,
Oh, the barracks.
Yeah,
the fire barracks.
The bunkhouse?
If that's the chief.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think he's good. His vision was redoing the first floor, which is, that's a whole different
To
discussion.
make it ADA.
Yeah,
And a
but
lot
I
of
think
money.
at one point, I think on a previous list, or something, I was furniture or something, though you got a bunch
Oh,
of furniture. didn't you?
details.
We
You
did,
got the-
we
yeah.
got a bunch of furniture.
Okay,
Wait, Scott, you good?
They
now?
wanted a commercial kitchen.
Okay.
now you can.
All right,
Okay.
thanks,
For what
Scott.
it's worth, Thank you.
It's not even 9 o'clock yet, and we've lost control.
Interim town administrator hours and priorities. We started talking about, last meeting that the 22 hours is probably not enough for what we are both asking to be done. And a chance to sort of go over what Kristen left behind, a list of, some, 50 odd items that are things that are at least out there in the universe. And trying to figure out a way to both, from what we can afford and what is doable by Jeff between now and whenever we hire. And
A full time.
right,
I can just tell you, as I know we've spoken this a couple times, I've usually I look back at a couple of my previous assignments, I probably averaged 30 hours a week, a lot more in the front end and a lot less in the back end. Especially, you get through town meeting, you're doing these things, but then you've hired somebody and they're gonna show up in a month. I'm not gonna be, making certain decisions and et cetera, but there's just no way this job's getting done in the current hours. And that's not even counting, nights and weekends at home,
right.
so.
I found in the list of the 50 that 9 of them are given more than once, which makes it easier to reduce the list when it's not listed more than once. The playground is listed several times. The South Street Bridge is mentioned several times. The IT RFP is mentioned several times. The fire pole is mentioned several times. And so it does make the list at least a little bit shorter. I don't think I agree with even the section that's called bids in priority order. I don't think that's the priority. I would do the bids. But I don't know, because the list is so long, I don't know where
Where do you
where
start?
we start having the conversation of, I'm a big fan of, here's the things we should stop doing until we have a full-time TA. And then
I
go
think
from there.
right now, we're in the top tier stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
have
yeah.
The things that have to be done are the things that are being done.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Right.
budget
I
annual
don't
town
see
meeting.
the discussion of the second tier things yet. So I don't even know if we need to do that. We need to focus on getting those top tier things done, and those are the
And-
things that have to be done.
And so what are the top tier things to you? Because I
Things
can
that
tell you
are
when people tell her down
time-
that their belief of things that have to be done is different
Time-
depending on who you talk to.
Time-
Time
Time-bound.
sensitive,
The
time
things that are
bound.
time sensitive.
I think some time-bound things we let fail and go away.
Which ones
I would let complete streets just
go away?
die on the vane.
Well, that's gonna take a while anyway, so
We have to spend a chunk of it by June 30th.
So
you can get
as
an
soon as
extension.
the,
Right, I would ask for an extension, but I would then stop.
the
doing those things.
engineer is gonna ask for an extension, they're gonna work on that as soon as they have
right.
the plan done.
Right.
The
I
design,
mean, right now, that's not consuming any hours.
Right. we're not,
Well,
So
but-
we'll
So they're
Yeah.
waiting for the engineer,
Right.
so some of these we're waiting on other people, like the bridge. We're waiting for I can't do anything till the easements. I'm
This one
trying to
goes
get the
away.
poll hearings lined up,
yes,
to move the whole project. But
right, and it looks like there's some contracts, some annual contracts that are up at the end of the year that are just regular
Which-
service we have.
um,
It's our IT RFP, our cemetery commissioner IRFP. I mean, that I don't think those are huge time sinks, but those are, again, their contracts are up June 30th. I don't think we'll have someone in place and they don't want to start on day one to have someone hired by day 3, even if they
Right.
were here by June 15th.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think those are giant things, but I think those are on the piece. I think the South Street Bridge, is one of those that has to move forward because it's been closed for,
Ever.
a
Well-
couple centuries at this point. And
And we can remove 12, the building commissioner retirement, because we
right,
just did something tonight, so that one's done.
And the school roof got done. Well, I mean,
right. The school roof is mostly on the school.
I signed the contract,
Right,
so
yeah,
that's going.
yeah.
I mean, we're kind of out of it at this
Um,
point.
I think the River Run Conservation Area, I think we're sort of going to find a way to do that sort of after we have a full-time
Mhm.
TA. We'll
Yep.
send a letter asking that one to be done.
20 is done. Legion Hall transfer to Housing Trust, that is done? Yes,
Well-
no?
No,
No.
that hasn't formally done. It still takes some contracts and some
Okay.
pieces.
And also the office has to do the procurement and all of that sort of stuff, so that is.
That's one of the procurements I think still needs to kind of move forward.
What about Town Hall and Bullet House? I mean, that is just
Uh,
ongoing.
That's not a
forever.
priority.
right, I was gonna say, I would
Move it.
move it to a full-time. I think the committee can do some things, but I think as a whole, that's waiting to a full-time TA.
Well, quite frankly, I don't think you can move ahead without an architect on that. You just can't fix
Just-
the sill willy-nilly.
I'll get angry if we talk about it.
Okay,
I think the playground is a dead project, even though that's
on the
our,
agenda.
Yeah, maybe we should discuss that one.
I was thinking some of the ARPA stuff, this is why I was happy that
Just
this was
pulled it.
first, is that ARPA discussion and this discussion do have a lot of overlap.
Mhm.
Right, the South Common Playground and the fire station building demo. And Bullard House are the 3 sort of big remaining ARPA projects.
Bullet House, I think we should just take the money and move it towards Old Fire and Rescue. How much money have they not spent from CPA? I think we need to have them spend that money first.
Oh, no, I'm having them spend ARPA money first because the CPA money can last a couple of years and doesn't have an expiration date of December 31st.
Have they spent any money? Because when
They-
they were here last
some.
time, they had 200,000 they hadn't touched.
I
Be-
think there was a cost issue though, so I think we need to address like. Making sure we have enough money to do like, for me, the knocking down the buildings is,
They've
Right.
got to go.
so.
Right.
I think that's probably the first thing we need to agree is
I
we
agree.
need to take money probably from that 180 to knock those buildings
Right.
down, or from the Bullard House or whatever.
Is playground, is that an option? Brittany's gonna come in and yell at me because I'm not looking at the mic. Is that an option for CPA money, playground? Under recreation?
I did speak to a few CPA folks and I think that as long as we made sure that the project sponsor was probably like from this office, so that we made sure that the project was run appropriately. I think the comfort level probably with adding another project onto the current list for rec is probably not a good time. But I think that's something that I would like to have changed anyways, as any capital project should need a staff sponsor. You should make sure that that's been signed off on by the TA or somebody, so that we know that we have capacity. You can't have volunteers who don't have
No.
often the skills or the capacity, and it's not fair to keep asking in that area.
I mean, and I want to do the playground, and I know that it's been kicked around, and I know that they've had to go back when they first started, 180,000 could get them 10 pieces of equipment and playthings. And now 180,000 gets them 2. Obviously,
I
that is
think you
a,
need more money. if
it
you're
is
gonna
a,
do
it is
right.
that the not absolute truth. Please do not anyone take that now I'm saying 180,000 only buys 2 swings. I'm just giving you an example, is that it bought a lot more, and unfortunately with the increase of stuff, their ability to buy the things that they need and
Right.
want for the kids in town has diminished.
Right, we have more projects that have been funded in town than we have the capacity to oversee. And so some of these projects have to go away. And I think it's on the select board to make the tough decisions that some of these are just going to have to go away. I think even if we had a full-time town administrator and a full-time assistant town administrator, we still have more projects on the list of things to do than we have the capacity to do. And some of
Agreed.
these just have to go away.
I think it's
And I don't think
Sometimes
go away
also-
forever.
No,
Because and again,
stage, we need to
Right,
stage better.
right,
when we're
and,
doing that.
and I don't think by me saying go away, I think these things are bad ideas.
no,
But that if I'm looking at the next 3 to 6 months or looking at some of this money that goes away by the end of the year, I don't see the playground happening between now and the end of the year.
So
You know, if some miracles came together and things slid into place suddenly,
Mhm.
maybe it comes back, but at least between now and having a full-time TA, nothing more on the playground.
So my understanding is that we could move the funds around. and
Yes.
Put towards the police barrack, or the fire
Right.
barracks, and still utilize all the funds that we need to utilize, and
Well, once you had a price for that, you'd know what was remaining.
Right, so
you've
how
got a
much
hand
money?
up in the audience, and
Jeff,
it's
is-
Felicia.
Yeah, likely, but you can pull it forward because this question will influence what she's about to say, but that how much money would we need to add to the building demo for, in your opinion, successfully do it? If we're doing a motion in the next 20 minutes, what's the number?
Because even with Peg Math, I saw that we have 86, but we have a quote for 89. Even
Right.
I
Oh,
know.
no, but I mean, there's no prevailing wage, there's no details, there's no fencing, there's no conservation. You know, it could be 30, 40, 50,000. I mean, you know, when you start actually putting the full set of specs together,
So you're
Right,
looking
but
at
I
potentially
thought
double
we
it.
last had, we had quotes ready to
You
execute.
had a
So
quote.
the idea that it's not
No.
quotes ready to execute
you had a
pisses me
quote,
off.
a quote, and that quote left out, right in the quote, not included, not
Correct.
included, not
We
included.
discussed that. I remember that
Yes.
that came up.
Right.
the
Yep,
non-prevailing
because we
wages,
talked
so-
about needing to fill in the basement too in the rescue building, and I don't think that was ever brought up because there was discussion, what are we gonna do with the land? So,
Well, the biggest issue is you don't have prevailing wage.
Yeah.
That's gonna drive up the cost 20, 30, who knows, thousand.
so you're looking at potentially doubling it if.
Well, I don't know if
a-
it's double, but I mean,
Ish.
if that's the
Estimate.
priority, that's what
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
put my energy on.
Just vote that we're going to move.
I mean, you have to go
enough
through a,
funds to,
Right, but we have to know it. and what's
well,
in
no,
there,
I
you know.
think what you have to do is say that's your priority and then we go get the amount.
the amount,
And
yeah.
then you reallocate those funds, because if I tell you X and it's Y, you're gonna do it twice.
Can we
Yep,
send to
it's
Felicia?
Felicia,
first?
yeah, yep. Felicia was promoted?
He's promoted.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Okay, hold on.
Is she talking?
It came up and it said, Felicia, can you say something?
It says audio is off or something. I can't see it.
No, because that's Zoom 3 is audio off. I don't
Okay.
see her even in the.
I shouldn't-
Because we're
There
looking-
she is.
Muted.
I think you need.
No,
Yeah, but she's talking, the screen is on attendees, not panelists. There are 4 panelists, which I believe would include her.
She is a panelist
Yeah.
right now.
Oh, I can hear her quietly, so it is something, but.
Can you hear me now?
Brittany?
I remember there was a FinCom, that the person who was on Zoom was like, could whisper.
Yeah, right.
What they say about it.
No, it's not mine.
No, it's not yours, it's overhead speakers.
Can you hear me?
So we
Trying to
need
find that
Brittany?
balance where overhead speakers, we can hear them, but they don't get picked up by microphones and cause feedback.
God.
Really, you probably need $250,000 for your playground.
I want to do it right.
You're gonna do it once every 20 years. Shouldn't short shift it.
All right. Can you hear me?
And then, like
Anybody?
I mentioned earlier, you should really build a couple handicap parking spaces. If you're gonna have handicap accessibility and you have to wheel down that terrible road.
Because the problem with almost every project we try, we do this project and then we have to have this thing to do this project.
No,
We have
you
to do
need-
this thing to do this project or this project.
Well,
The
like,
Bullet House for 25 years has been trying to renovate the Bullet House. And every time they try to renovate the Bullet House, we add one more requirement on top of it. And when they satisfy that, we add another requirement on top of it.
all right, do we want to try? Oops.
Ooh.
Alicia,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
there you are.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry, my AirPod is not cooperating.
It's us.
You can hear her okay?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Brittany.
Okay, great. I just wanted to comment. I knew this was coming, so I wanted to be sure I was on the meeting tonight. After speaking and hearing a few things about the demo, it sounds like the quotes obviously aren't lined up. I know my quote has taken a while to get to you, but it is accurate. It does have an awesome playground. I understand that a playground could be so much better with a way more money, but this checks off all the original boxes that we wanted to do. And after speaking to Mr. Nutting, we could eventually, potentially make rubber footings for everything. We could, have ADA parking places, but these are all kind of things that I had already talked to Tim Wheeler about for further CPA projects down the road that wouldn't be super expensive and we could kind of do piece by piece. I know if this goes away, it's never going to come back. And this has to be done. I mean, 3 years ago, we had barricaded the playground so kids couldn't play there. And, then we got the approval to take down the barricade and we've been working and had so many designs and I've been talking to so many people. And I really feel like with the budget you've given me, without asking for more, it could get done. It's just a matter of putting it on the paper the correct way, which I cannot do.
So Felicia, you're saying that for the 180 gets you what you would like for the playground, gets what the town would like for the playground, and that it sounds like it's further along than I was led to believe. We have a quote, it just needs some tweaking to it.
Well, I thought I had forwarded to everyone. I thought I mentioned it last time I was there, last week or the week before. The design, the quote, the photo of all of the materials, kind of a breakdown of all the pieces that we're hoping for. Obviously without being too specific to a certain brand, because we can't do that. But, the slide, the swings, the climbing structure, the toddler pieces, the rubber ground. My quote has prevailing wage. It checks off all the stuff that we need. It's just a matter of having the IFP or B or whatever it's called to actually go. So that's kind of where we're at.
So what is the volume of work necessary to
It's
get
just a
across?
public bid process.
We would have to put it out to bid.
Right.
Even though we have quotes, so the quotes
Oh.
don't count as the bids.
Well, it came up.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna talk to Felicia. I think she grabbed that off the state bid list. And if the prices are still whole, the number would hold.
Yeah, because we had given them a deadline for rec to get it in to us and they met that and Felicia passed everything in. I saw the email
Might
go
have to
through to
file.
Kristen. Yeah, so you've got it.
Right.
And there may potentially be further discounts as the gentleman had told me, but like, it's not a guarantee that this guy is going to get the bid. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to fight for it real hard. But, the original bid we had 2 years ago was based off of a company that after months of work, Kristen then said we couldn't use because it was not on the state bid list. So that kind of ruined our momentum. So working with this company that's local, this gentleman has actually been to the site multiple times. He was the one that had looked at it before, looked at the old equipment, made a lot of recommendations. I mean, he's really great, but like I said, there's no guarantee that he will get it, but at least we can work with what we have and make it as specific as possible. And hopefully, he would get the bid or the company. But after looking at a lot of other companies and kind of shopping around, I mean, the pricing seems very realistic. Really, it's the prevailing wage that's super pricey and the poured rubber. And I'm happy to resend everything to anybody that needs it if you don't have it.
Jeff has it.
Okay.
No, my concern is if our priority is to get the buildings knocked down, because we cannot pay for those with CPA funds, that we don't have enough money to do all of the things.
Right. Unless you took the money away from the fully.
Sadly, the most recent spreadsheet I have of spending and available funds is from 2024, so I'd be needed at some point to get.
No,
Yeah, for ARPA.
oh, I put it.
The
in your-
ARPA, the list of the 23
I put it in your
projects.
letter. There was one change, the Bullet House has 41,000. I updated that. All the other numbers are to date. The road engineering was obviously complete streets, and then you have the ARPA money and the.
Right, so we have, well, so again.
I mean, if you didn't give the money to the Bullet House, wouldn't that be a CPA issue in the future?
Yeah.
If you wanted, I don't know the history of politics
I mean,
behind it.
we can't pay for the knocking down the buildings with CPA funds, and anything historical or recreational can be paid for with. So maybe there's a way to fiddle things around, but I do think that getting those buildings down, because we don't have other avenues for that funding, still has to be.
But we still have, there's 74,000 for road engineering that we've already said is probably a lower priority, and there's still 46,000 in Bullet. You could take 50,000 from road engineering
That's
and
the
give it to the
Complete
demo.
Streets grant.
Right.
Well, you're gonna cancel the grant?
Or find other funds. Again, we can't do everything. And so every time we try to cut from a project, if someone says we can't cut that project because of something else, we at some point have to cut something. For me, it's Complete Streets. Complete Streets, there is non-agreement in town what to do. There's fights over every little bit. We have easements still to go. It's just.
Do we have signed contracts with the engineer?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, how are you gonna cancel?
So then the 74,000 is not available then.
No, that's what's left in the balance. That's what you want. What has it? Right, I don't believe there's a contract for the other three.
And so project 23, which was implementation of Facility Study 0 to 3, which was our slush fund because we needed to have a contract we were getting out of, has those funds been spent?
I'm sorry, which ones?
Project 23, which is implementation of the Facility Studies years 0 to 3. We created that and used that for the rounding number to get to the total number that we've not,
Yes.
as far as I put anything into.
I believe Kristen is using that money towards the buildings. How much is there?
$17,148.15 according to 11/26/24,
Yeah,
which
I
is the
don't think,
last time we've gotten to a penny upgrade on this.
okay. I don't think it's that much, but I believe that is where she took some money from in order to bring the amount we had for the building demo.
23 is canceled. There's no money in there. That was reallocated to the building.
Yeah, to the demo.
And so the project 21 then, 1870 Town Hall interior work?
That's also being used for the building demo.
Because we're not gonna do anything with 1870 for potential more filming, so. Don't use that money. I mean, I definitely understand, and Scott, yeah, I hear you. We can't have 85 projects all going at the same time. You know, and unfortunately, we don't have, we have some missing information from, or missing correct information, which is hard to pull money from Peter to pay Paul, but I want the buildings down. Rec has done the work for the playground. I think we pull it away from the Bullard House because that can get CPA money. And the other line, Jeff, that you mentioned about the streets. And I agree with you that we just stop complete streets, whatever we have to pay, I don't know, but there is too much fighting in town of that to make that go any further. That was one of the big things of the pushback. You didn't include us. You didn't talk to us. So we're just gonna push through and ignore that? No, I think we just stop. It's not critical. The town is not gonna stop if we don't do complete streets.
Yeah, I think stop could be, we ask for a year, we can reevaluate where it's
Yeah.
at, but it's just, it can't be what we're working on right now.
Well, how about a suggestion? I get you the up-to-date balances. I find out about the road engineering, what our commitment is. Put this on the agenda. It's another week or two. It's not gonna change the world before you make a final decision.
And if you pulled money away from items like the Bullet House and put it towards, I mean, I know, Jeff, you don't have numbers for us to say, you know, for taking the buildings down, that we're missing, you know, Lincoln and Blog, but if, you know, we took the 46,000 away and took a little
Pretty
bit,
close.
does that, yeah,
Yeah, plus.
And so of the 40 items, which ones are we saying that we're not gonna spend more time on between at least now and having a full-time town administrator?
I would say make that decision at your next meeting.
because you'll get us
And-
updated numbers.
Well, that's on the ARPA stuff.
Right.
And
Oh,
so
okay, yeah,
is
that's
the
fine.
pavilion still needed? Can we make that go into the next year? I mean, there are a lot of projects
Yes.
that I think several just have to not happen for a while.
But I think they're pretty far down the line of the pavilion at this point too.
I'm hoping so, but it's number 11 on the list
They're
of
much-
that we have here.
I know,
So
but there was much discussion on the pavilion because, you know, I was hearing from the rec side that the information was given to our former town administrator, and I heard that the former town administrator didn't have the information. So, you know, which side of the discussion do you listen to? I don't know. I cannot tell you if the pavilion is ready to go or not, and that was CPA money, so, or wasn't it? Can't we
yeah,
slide?
it's
it?
CPA. It is CPA money.
So then can we slide that over? Because with the whole, you're looking playground, you're looking at the whole redesign, reconstruction of that area as well, and wells and.
The other one I got that she sent me an email about was the fields, the field reno.
Yeah,
That's not done either.
no,
Right, and I
So-
didn't do anything more than that until,
Okay.
I think the wells are related to the field.
Yeah.
Right, so I would push those off, to me, the playground has waited the sort of longest to get done.
Yep.
For me, the playground also has the least amount of, ongoing annual support and maintenance costs. And so, you know, and the playground has funding that goes away at the end of the year. All things to me that make sort of the playground, the South Common Wells, and the sprinkler system for the fields, just
wait,
wait. See, Felicia, you can change my mind sometimes.
I don't know if I'm on still, but I appreciate you. I just sent the IFB to Peg for the pavilion. That's been done since November.
Right.
Bob Holmes from town put that together and
Yep.
submitted it. I think the only question mark was warranty language, but we had discussed that would be pending on,
I think I
you know,
printed it.
whoever puts the bid in. So.
all right, so Dee and Jeff, I just sent you that because I can't send it to you too, because so it's gotta go round. Thank you, Felicia, for sending that.
I can send it to both of them as well tomorrow. There was some other documents attached, but I just wanted to get that one to you as soon as possible.
Well, they've got it. Okay.
Okay.
So can we go through the list of projects and just say number
Well-
1, yes, number 2, no, number 3, yes, number 4, move?
I think I'd rather just prioritize them if they're
Yeah.
not, like, just prioritize them so that you
mean,
start
so-
taking them off rather than
Right.
like throwing them out the window, just put, put them in numerical order.
Do you want us to do that or?
You know
So-
what? Do you
Rock,
want to have a
paper,
discussion
scissors.
about each or just individually want
No,
to
I
rate
think
them and
we've
we'll
been
collate
rolled
it?
So if we look at several pages in where it talks about bids in priority order, because I think these are bids that require the TA and
No, there they are.
staff to actually like get bid documents and.
We've
and-
already
and
started
talk.
working
And
on
you've done,
quite a few of
right.
these.
My impression is you've like done, even in 2 weeks, you guys have started
right,
There's a lot.
kicking these off, but
right. And so I think in that list of 11, although it's interesting, I do see the list jumps from 11 to 23, and I don't know why, but
Mm.
that
so I
The-
hate
the-
this list.
I know.
I don't think this list is helpful at all.
No. Yeah, that's why I actually at some point had to print it because I couldn't wrap my brain around it without it in front of it. That the bids, the highway materials has to be done.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
fire pole has to be done, the RIT
We-
quotes for RFP, which is also number what, 22 on the earlier page. It lists all the contracts that have to be done by the end of the year. Those have to get done. The South Street Bridge has to get done. The upstairs renovations is part of the upstairs, sort of has to be done. The radio project has to get done. I think for me, at least for the time being, the playground still sits there. I think the wells go away, at least for the time being. And when I really go away is at least until we have a
Delayed.
administrator.
Delayed, not go away, delayed.
Like, yeah.
If I have my wands, they're going.
I know.
But people get upset with me for it. The demo of the buildings is something we're working on. I questioned, as much as we've talked about the fire bay door replacements.
Well, now that the weather is warming up, it's not such an emergency as it was because we're not
Right, but
losing.
we're 6 months away from it, or 8 months away from a big emergency
Yes.
again.
Very true.
My guess is most of that work will be done by the fire chief, correct?
Well, you need money,
Oh, he hasn't, we haven't.
a lot of
done
it.
that yet.
I thought we had money for the fire bay doors.
I think we have several pools. We also have the building maintenance fund that we can pull from the select board.
I thought we already did.
I think we poured money into that several times. I don't know if the money we poured is temporary or permanent fixes, but I thought it was mostly fixed.
So it's a special article approved May 2025.
Yeah.
Right,
And there was one door that was fixed.
Right.
At the time. But there's.
Yeah.
5 more doors, I think.
but as far as that, anyway, pavilion, I worry that really, mostly because it is not money that has to be spent by the end of the year, is not, it gets delayed.
Well, in the pavilion, you've got the wells, as we mentioned, you've got the whole outlay, you've got the irrigation, so it's just not the pavilion. It's the pavilion and 4 other things that,
Put it further down on the
Yep,
list.
put it further on the list.
yep.
So that there's not, everything is not on this bid list because we also have the Legion.
It's
Yes,
on
it
there.
is weird. It is on the list, but it's somewhere else on this. As Lisa says, the list is just a weird
It
flow
makes
of
my head
consciousness.
hurt.
And then the
Uh,
field reno is not on here either.
Right, the field reno, I think we're delaying, obviously, the,
With the pavilion and
I
the
wouldn't
well.
delay the renovation of Legion Hall, mostly because I worry as it sits that entropy starts taking a toll at some point.
Mhm.
I would, on the list, really, anything that was above 34, nothing struck me as something that had to be done.
Mhm.
In
Are you looking at the list that was in the meeting packet?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, right. 33. That's easy. 34, everything after 34 is pretty,
Yeah, everything after 34 just.
is,
Yes,
it needs
yeah,
to get
typically-
done
Because
sometime.
it talks about other bridges we might look at some point,
Yeah.
but other bridges to look at some point is not
No.
a must be done in the next 3 months or we lose
Yeah,
the
I
money
don't-
by the end of the year.
I don't see anything after that,
After 34?
Right,
well, even 34 on, those are good things over the long term, but
yeah.
not something in the next 4 months, all of those.
The OPED trust documents, does that actually, is there anything that needs to be done in the next?
Well, you should
6 months?
someday,
You
at
should
the
someday
annual
have-
town meeting,
Right.
establish a trust,
Right,
but that you can do that a year from now.
right. The website is mostly done at this point, Amy?
It's a few
The
issues
website
with
is
it
done. Unfortunately, it wasn't,
done
the
correctly.
rollout wasn't as smooth as we had hoped. And we're still working on fixing a few things.
Well said.
To me, that's one of those like, as time allows, there's not a money in it that has to be done, but it's
Yeah.
one of those, I think that's like you have a, let's call it a punch list.
Yeah.
And every now and then you just pound something off the
Yeah.
punch
Yes.
list and goes,
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
It's access issues mainly.
Right now, we're just working on getting people access and I've been adding them as I can.
Yeah, the soil agreements, you know what?
Yeah.
That whole thing
soil
has
agreement, yeah.
been around as
Right.
long as we're old.
right. So all those annual contracts, again, I don't think any of those are individually, again, it's the death of 1,000 cuts, but if we don't sign them by the July 1st, some of those things stop happening.
Mhm.
And some of the others that are in the first sort of 20 or so are in that project list already, and so,
And those are mainly what we've been focusing on.
right.
Unless something comes up that we have to add in.
And a couple of those are gonna fall out potentially. I mean, 12 is gone. That's the building commissioner. Complete Streets is still up for discussion until you figure out if we owe a bill. And then number 10 is
Oh.
potentially on hold-ish.
And these are just the projects is still that every day, day to day.
Yeah, answering the
takes-
phone, yeah,
Takes a
yeah.
lot of time.
But that's just it. I mean, I understand, Jeff, we told you you can have an hour. And unfortunately, with all the work that was left behind, you're coming back saying an hour isn't gonna do it. Pick one. Do you want it done right or do you want it done right now? Do we want to leave the next TA in a good position to come into it? Or have them come in and then have them run out running because of the mess that we're in and all the unfinished work that was unfortunately left behind, I think, which is,
I don't
you know.
think this is this mess is an embarrassment of riches, because we have CPA, because we've been good with some funds, we have more projects than we have the
I know.
capacity to do. Because we have sort of starved town administration of staffing so that we continue to fund the schools at a level that keeps us having good schools, we're in this position. And again, at some point, some of these just, they're great ideas. They have, there is not a government project on this planet that doesn't have some group of people that love it, whether it be our town or the state or the county or the federal level. At some point, you just got to say, great idea, but it's just,
Not
there's,
today.
the energy is not there. I think in some respects, for me, one of the advocates for the continue potentially doing something with the playground is, it would be odd to just cut everything that's related to recreation. And so no wells, no pavilion,
Yeah.
at least for a while, at least for another year, let's see if we can push the playground over. And the playground again has funds that goes away in 6 months, 9 months.
and if that's ready to kind of sort of go.
Yeah.
Then do we go? With the playground?
I thought we kind of went there.
Yeah, I think we're
All right, so
there.
we're gonna go.
Yeah, I think, and so.
Oh.
Cause I just asked, cause I think
Yeah.
is Felicia still online? We can let her go instead of having her
I think she
hear
might
us
have-
babble. She might be gone.
No,
She's still there.
she's still
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Well, that's the case. I still will work on a price for the demo, even if.
Yes, I would work with the price
At
of
least
demo.
you'd have know what it is, and then
Yep.
even if it's a fall town meeting or, well, we,
Demo was the demo and the playground were the two, and Bullard House was where we were pulling money from, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't take a vote yet, but I mean, if that's the intent, we'll work towards
That's-
those two and just
Yeah.
tell
I- I
the folks
think the
it's on
intent is to work
hold.
for those two.
You know, all the spending's on hold until we have definitive numbers. If that's a intent to the board.
I think that's the intent of the board.
Okay.
Any type of motion or recap? Are you good?
I
I'm
don't
good.
think It's a motion,
Uh,
it's just a,
Yeah, so.
I get it.
yeah, we're all in agreement. so
Yeah,
it's not-
I think of, and I see that Lisa's already asked how to make this a better document and not have duplications on it. And sadly, there's also not with this, although we can, yes, some of these are more complicated than others. You know, the punch list of the website is a few hours here and there. Finishing up the remaining fiscal year 27 budget and getting it in a format to mail out to everybody, get the mailing done. That's not more than an hour. That is a substantial sort of chunk of time. And some of these RFPs will take more than others.
I will say that the idea that there's a long list is not a bad thing for, if you look to the future. Because I think she was looking at ways that you could help maybe improve operations, but those don't happen overnight.
No, and we have some of the operational improvements are in the recommended select board budget.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
And mostly it's staff, so. Okay, so I understand the ARPA thing.
Yep.
So how many hours am I working? Like 100 a week? No.
No, and it was when we did agenda thing, I thought we had gone down this path, but it clearly was some lack of clarity. And so potentially looking for a budget on what if we don't think 22, are we allowing him to go over 22? And is there a number we are giving, or is there a total dollar amount we're giving? How would you like to provide more clarity?
I
to-
think that
My preference is to, quite frankly, take those hours out. And let me do my job, like I've done every other place. But if there's a limit, I'll do the best I can.
I think it's important now in the beginning, especially because we're really
swamped.
working on a lot of things at once, and not one person can do it. And
Right, that's why
so,
there's 3 people in the office.
Right.
So,
she's
so
working.
my concern about taking out the dollar amount, and there could be other ways to address this concern without an hour number, is what are the rails to prevent us from going broke as a town on 80 hours a week? And
Wow.
then
I
suddenly
don't
we
think
go,
that's
like,
the
so,
intent, is it?
that's not the intent,
Told
but
me was 30 or so.
I mean,
was your average, right?
that's what I've averaged over a 6-month stay or a 4-month stay in other places.
With
But
more
some
overtime.
weeks I work 45 and other weeks I work 20. It's very, but between now and town meeting, until this warrant is out and the budget's put the thing, and we got 110 bid things. I mean, I worked 35 or 36 hours the first 2 weeks, and just to get organized, really.
and I've been working 60.
right.
I don't think, I mean,
And I think the hours have generally been well spent. It is, what is the fiscal guardrails that make sure that we are aware of how much we are spending as we go forward?
Well, do we want to check in with the budgets every 4 weeks or every month and say, this is what we've spent
So-
so far, this is what's left in the lines?
part of the guardrail is how quickly you recruit somebody. Although I'll cost a lot less than a new person.
Right, and so I agree. I think it would be wasteful administratively to I mean, obviously, like a daily check-in would be a horrible thing to do.
Sure.
Right, I think a monthly check-in
Okay,
of how much we have sort of spent between your hours, your sort of more salary-like, but also the
admin.
admin
Mhm.
and sort of how we're doing. Because I could guess that as we get ready for town meeting, that it is taking more time to get up to sort of speed, and that there could be a leveling off at some point. But
yes.
I think I would be fine with a monthly check-in and removing from the agreement, or at least from our understanding of the agreement, that there's not a definitive cap on the hours per week.
Do we want to take a vote on that one?
The other people are okay with that direction?
Unfortunately, I think that there was more work than any of us were led to believe, so. we need to do what is right.
I think we hired a professional and,
Yep,
and
that's
as much as we can, we need to let him do his job.
agreed.
Because that will put us in a better place when the new TA comes in.
Correct.
Because I don't want to have the new TA stretched as thin as the last one was,
Correct.
because they're already
Buried.
buried.
I'll assume somewhere in there, there's the motion second. Is there any more discussion? Can we all vote? You can make up who made the motion and who seconded it, because I think we're all in agreement, so. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Great.
I think in that discussion, we ended up with enough conversation of ARPA projects that I don't
Yeah.
think we need more on that.
Right.
The job advertisement, speaking of moving that hiring forward,
That it?
I know.
That's just the ad.
That's just the ad. It's not.
There's a big packet coming after that.
Yeah.
That's just.
So when you go,
We're
when you
responsive-
go
yeah,
on to
we're-
like MMA, it says blah, 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 see, and when you click see details, it goes.
Yeah, and there'll be a 6-page, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just the ad.
Yeah.
yeah,
it-
that
And
we're,
Their plan is to get the ad out on next Monday.
Right. And we're meeting with him tomorrow. He's meeting with any staff.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, I mean.
He'll meet with us.
You know, they're trying to put the
and some
profile
other
together
departments.
that will be the published, the available information for candidates.
That's very generic.
Right,
yeah, so that's for the ad. The ad we ultimately pay for in addition to the costs.
right, that goes.
Which is pretty standard.
Right,
I thought it was decent. It is the marked up version, so we get to see what has changed since last time we placed one of these
That's
ads. I am at the moment feeling a little even optimistic that we'll get some decent candidates out of this. I know some towns have struggled. But I think we still are, despite what we just talked about, all the stuff to do. It's for some people, that's also, it is fun challenges, it's some diversity. We will, I think do okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discuss, vote, and sign letters of commitment to the one-stop grant for Wheeler Dam project. We had the presentation last week,
Mhm.
last meeting.
Yep.
And this is sort of the result of that. Last time it was just as a presentation that we didn't have on the agenda to actually vote on us being the fiscal agent for this grant and moving this forward. Is there a motion to approve the grant?
So
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
And that's just a you sign, Scott,
Is that
right?
Yes.
what you sign?
That's just a Scott sign?
Yes.
So Scott's, okay.
Scott sign.
Um,
that-
we have, I added to this is whether or not we need to meet next week.
So I just want to show you where.
Okay, I'll wait till after the meeting then. Whether or not we need to have a meeting next week, we are scheduled for weekly in here. At this point, the only budget remaining item is the schools. The other thing is that at our meeting, if we do skip next week, the meeting on the 30th, we do actually have to have all the i's dotted and t's crossed in the warrant. And so if it's not, things that aren't, we'll likely have to move to remove them from the warrant if not done. Although I don't know what meeting on the 23rd would do to make sure we still have things on the 30th if they're not done yet.
Can we just focus our next meeting on the 23rd and limit it to budget and warrant? And then that's it, and then everything else slides till,
Well, we
So-
have to meet on the 30th
Sure.
because we have an executive session.
Right, we have to meet on the 30th because of the executive session and we have other things. So why don't we keep for now the meeting on the 23rd when we do agenda setting on Wednesday, which is only 2 days from now, I know. If I don't think there's like anything ready to converse about. And
I think right now that agenda is extremely light.
it's actually
It's nothing.
non-existent at this point.
Yeah.
How late can we post the agenda?
Thursday at
Thursday at
Thursday at 6?
5:55.
5:59, whatever.
We'll converse, but why don't we try to do a Thursday morning agenda setting? Because I think FinCom and where they're at and what questions they have,
That's fine.
we'll probably,
Class.
Choose
Yep.
class, but I can,
Yeah. because I think our conversation is do we have an
Give me the
agenda that
draft.
is
Right.
budget and warrant, or do we not have a meeting because there's no budget and warrant? Jeff, you would have come from FinCom on Wednesday
Right.
night, so you'll have a sense of where they're at, where we might have to do a few things remaining. And so I will make the decision Thursday morning and we'll obviously let everybody know.
Okay.
So you call us?
Sure.
Okay. She'll be away, but I'll
Yep,
be
yep,
there,
yep.
obviously.
Board questions and liaison updates. Yeah. We get to 9:30 at night, our desire to have conversations good.
Yeah.
Can do it next Wednesday. No.
Just a few things that came up at MMA, the legislative briefing. There's a consolidated clean energy permitting that starts on October 1st. I don't know if Rich has addressed that or where we are with that, but it's for small, like solar projects and that sort of thing, and that's coming up in October, so something we should probably check on.
Yep.
Municipal Empowerment Act has made it through 2 out of 3 committees. I did at one point draft a letter that I may throw at the next agenda just for. There's also a cannabis social consumption. I think you have to opt in for that to be a problem. They would be like 16 to 18 months, but that is also something that sort of jarred some alarm bells. I don't know if that's come up. There are probably going to be as many as 12 ballot initiatives, depending on what the legislature does.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I told you most of the room had at least one override in the last 5 years. Many this year, and then just, we took the housing trust article off because we're gonna use the other article. We have to pay for that. So we did that on Wednesday, and we're still continuing to work on the down payment program.
Rick?
For NEE, just a couple main ones. Unfortunately, we did not get the Green Community grant for the regional school in Amir. When it comes back time to talk about the buildings, he put a lovely dashboard together. A lovely dashboard together that took all those lovely reports of who was doing what and put them in a lovely spreadsheet so that we'll be able to say, oof, this building here, it's gonna truly cost $1 bazillion. What should we do with it? Maybe we need to take it down or get rid of it. Oh, look, this one only cost $20. So it may help in the prioritization of what we need to do with the remaining buildings of town. So yay, Amir. Concom, they're working with the library folks on doing a library walk. They too are working on the MVP grant for the Wheeler Pond Dam removal. They're looking at various, the Berlin Meadows Garden, which is in the center of town, and what needs to be done. Oh, look, I have a note on the rail trail. It says no serious updates. They're reaching out to abutters. They're looking at a feasibility study to be posted. And that was it. And then with rec, you heard what they were working on, so that's really about it. Scott.
I'm good.
I like that. Good.
Yep. So motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you.
Hi, Susie. I can hear the rain.
Yes, you can hear the ring.
They're gonna get.
Yes, that's the ring, yes. That's right. Very good. So this is, oh, Robin, yeah.
Post-its on everything.
So where do you need